What happens when you get one island, 10 college freshmen, and 20 hot grandmas over 70 letting their silver hair down and taking out their dentures for no-holds-barred hotness? Get your artificial hips ready as each freshman finds out what an experienced lady can do with a bit of Bengay and a trick hip. The mimosas are flowing and the moo-moos are dropping on Gilf Island, and we finally get to see which grandma makes the best cookies. Tune in and find out what happens after 7 o'clock and the night lights turn on. Brought to you by Max Lube Personal Lubricant, made from genuine repurposed U.S. Space Shuttle landing gear lubricant. Do you have too much cushion in your push? Do you suffer from too much traction and action while you're thrashing and bashing at the late night smashing? Try Manscraper. Manscraper is for the manly man. Sure, you can get little kid trimmers from the competitors as they daintily dance around your third arm and muckles. Manscaped is for a different beast. It's for dudes from another brood who didn't politely need to clip but need to hedge trim like they leg-choked Wilt Chamberlain in the glory years. Using our patent-pending 15-horsepower chipper shredder with advanced gonad alert technology, we can promise you the best shave you're ever going to get. And with Manscaped 2.0, there's approximately 12% less chance of injury. For only $499.99, you can get the Manscraper. 4 plastic bags for collecting your work and a 6-ounce container of aloe vera. If you order now, we'll also throw in the Demansculator. If you have nose thunder, down under, or just need a good washing, just hang our 4.2-pound Demansculator from your junk. Why shower when you can power through the hour, smelling like a tower of flowers? The Demansculator gives your wrinkled boys the washing of a lifetime, certified to pass any antibacterial test for 6 months after use. Current research shows no impact on fertility. And last but not least, if you order now, we're going to throw in a little Gorilla Glue, because once you're done, you can make a beard out of all the leftovers. I mean, who doesn't want to dress up for Halloween, right? Why let all that good go to wasting? Manscaped, shaving your man grapes like you deserve. And if you join our Patreon now, you can join our photo collection group, where you can where you can send in... No, don't send me in nudes. Seriously, don't. No, I don't want to leave it, because I'm sure somebody's going to be out there going, hey, man, I'll send in some nudes after I wash my skunk. But anyway... Manscaped. Don't join the Patreon just to send. Acceptable audiobooks. Right now, you can get over 100,000 million books through the Karak's audio bookstore. New York Times classics like I Married a Werewolf, Teen Bruisers, What Is This Dark Spot, Why Can't I Pull Off My Own Face, and the classic award-winning self-help book, How to Staple Your Mouth Shut by... Here is just a small sample of the audio quality that you can expect. He flicked the hair out of his face, the sweat beading off of it, his weight pressed down on her, his lithe form finding comfort in her curves. There was a sensuous quality to her body he couldn't get enough of. He slipped her bra off smoothly and tossed it onto the hard concrete floor. Bill patted the old Corvette with one hand. That's it, baby. Let me know all your secrets. An entire world is waiting for you. Just download them on the go to your Android or that one company that fucking hates headphones, so they remove the port completely. Listen on the go. Pretend you're busy so you don't have to engage with others in society. And that's right, you can do it all from the comfort of your little safety cocoon of sound, you goddamned introverts. It's best if you also don't make eye contact and beat your head like you're cooler than everyone else is. Just $19.99 a month plus taxes and fees and VAT times 2, or our subscription service that's only $19.99 a month plus VATs and fees and service times 2. And allowing our tracking cookies, you can have instant access to all that you desire when it comes to the audio realm. So join Karak's audio and audible, audibly acceptable audiobooks now, for when your eyes are just too fucking lazy to move side to side. And remember, you can't cancel at any time. Karak's audio and audible, audibly acceptable audiobooks. Let's just stop moving as a species, you fatties. Today's podcast is brought to you by Karak's Audio and Audible, audibly acceptable audiobooks. Right now, you can get over 100,000 million books through the Karak's Audio bookstore. New York Times classics like I Married a Werewolf, Teen Bruisers, What Is This Dark Spot, Why Can't I Pull Off My Own Face, and the classic award-winning self-help book, How to Staple Your Mouth Shut by... Here is just a small sample of the audio quality that you can expect. He flicked the hair out of his face, the sweat beading off of it, his weight pressed down on her, his lithe form finding comfort in her curves. There was a sensuous quality to her body he couldn't get enough of. He slipped her bra off smoothly and tossed it onto the hard concrete floor. Bill patted the old Corvette with one hand. That's it, baby. Let me know all your secrets. An entire world is waiting for you. Just download them on the go to your Android or that one company that fucking hates headphones, so they remove the port completely. Listen on the go. Pretend you're busy so you don't have to engage with others in society. And that's right, you can do it all from the comfort of your little safety cocoon of sound, you goddamned introverts. It's best if you also don't make eye contact and beat your head like you're cooler than everyone else is. Just $19.99 a month plus taxes and fees and VAT times 2, or our subscription service that's only $19.99 a month plus VATs and fees and service times 2. And allowing our tracking cookies, you can have instant access to all that you desire when it comes to the audio realm. So join Karak's Audio and Audible audibly acceptable audiobooks now for when your eyes are just too fucking lazy to move side to side. And remember, you can't cancel at any time. Karak's Audio and Audible audibly acceptable audiobooks. Let's just stop moving as a species. We go. Sup, everybody? This is Karak with ACG, and I'm here with Absy, Not Johnny, Silver, Reg, and Lord Sovereign from the Iron Lords podcasts. One of my favorite podcasts in the world, one of my favorite people in the world. Thank you very much for joining us, man.
Thank you for having me, man. Pleasure to be here. An absolute honor, man.
Yeah,
it's been long overdue.
Yeah, it has been long overdue. And I was telling him prior to the podcast that, you know, I've done the Iron Lords podcast and I've had a couple of them on, but because I'm loud, Lord's loud, Addict's loud, poor Sovereign and Cognito sometimes are just like half the time they're trying to karate chop us all separate to like be like, dude, guys, slow down. And so I've wanted him on for a long time. We got him to be able, in fact, we planned this. Dude, I think I contacted you a month ago. Whatever.
No, it was longer than that, dude. I think it was towards the end of last year. So it's been longer than that. Yeah, it's been a couple of months because unfortunately that's how I have to plan.
That's what they said too. Even Addict, I was like, hey, I want to get him on. And Addict's like, whoa, just so you know, he's like, he's doing a lot of stuff. So, but yeah, man, absolute pleasure to have you on. A pleasure to see, you know, to go on to your guys' podcast and see not only an overlap of positivity, but an overlap of like of watch groups and seeing people there when I go in and seeing a lot of the same fans saying a lot of the same things that your guys' podcast is. It's a trip. And I've been on a lot of podcasts, and I will tell you, you got to prep for an Iron Lords podcast. You got to prep.
You got to come in with your receipts. You got to be ready. You
do. You got to be ready because they'll call you, and they're all. I mean, we're all boisterous, so it's like you got to you got to be able to be like, whoa. And you know, I got to shout out to Cognito. He's a good mediator, man.
Oh, he's great.
Because there's times where I'm like, I do not envy this poor sap who's trying to figure us all out.
I mean, did you see how he juggled things that 6-hour podcast when we had the discussion about the Activision Blizzard?
Yeah, I wanted to be on there so bad. My family.
That's right. You were supposed to be on. That's right.
Yeah, and I wanted to be on. I was like, oh my god, we can all get back together. And it's just family stuff was popping up for me.
Yeah.
This winter was sort of a crap like. You know, a crap winter for me, just like stupid, you know, crap popping off. But yeah, your guys' he did well though.
He did amazing. Yeah.
Which is hard to do with a lot of people. Like it's hard to do.
Yeah.
I want to read a super chat we got. Thank you, people. We don't push super chats very much, but I definitely do appreciate it because once we moved from Twitter over to here, super chats do keep us going. Ron R says, got the notification, can't stick around, too much work. We'll catch the upload later while playing some Elden Ring. At 5 FPS. I'm just joking. I added that last bit.
I enjoy Elden Ring, man.
Enjoy Elden Ring. I enjoyed it prior to the patch, and we are going to talk about that. But first, before we get into bad news or weird stuff, I want to talk First of all, I want to say we all understand that there's shit going on in the world. We don't talk about that too much here. Maybe at the end we do, but we're pretty away from politics here. So just be aware we do understand that stuff's going on. So if we get heated about something, we know that there's worse things in the world. I had somebody come at me and I'm like, listen, I joke, I talk about games, but there's things that matter more in the world than
there's always something worse in the world.
There
happening,
exactly.
You
know, what about times, right? Isn't that the term? The whataboutism. Whataboutism. And I get it, and it sucks. It really does suck. But we're trying have a good time here and talk about stuff. Even when we talk about negative stuff, we're trying to have a good time. And that's why we wanted Sovereign on. And that's why these three gents, Johnny couldn't come, but why these three gents continue to come. They're awesome guys. So we're gonna start with our guest first. Sovereign, what have you been playing? If you can talk about it, because if you got NDAs, I understand.
Oh no, I wish I had NDAs. So I'm the one that has very little time to play. Like I work like 17 hours a day, so the weekends maybe. So I'm on my Switch a lot. But this week, since I work at schools, so I tend to be off when they're off. So I had this week off for the most part, though I have to work the rest of the weekend. So I got some time to get some gaming in, thankfully. So played some Horizon Forbidden West. Enjoying that more than I enjoyed the first one initially.
I've heard that a lot.
Yeah, the open world in the first one was it just felt kind of samey to me.
Okay.
So I did like Aloy as a character. I liked the story. So what Sony does very well. I've kind of been very critical of Sony open worlds. I just think they kind of fall into the same sort of trappings that your Assassin's Creed falls into and stuff like that. And even though I love those games as well, for whatever reason, maybe I expect more out of a Sony first party open world. But I'm enjoying Forbidden West so far. So played some more Sifu. I don't know if you guys know, but the Lords, we're late 70s, 80s kids. So we come from that sort of, kung fu cinema culture.
Oh, dude, it's my USA had a Sunday matinee I would watch all the time. Yeah.
Like walking down the hallways, just beating up everyone that walks out of a door. Yeah, it's awesome.
It's absolutely awesome. So for us, that playing that game is such a it's just a perfect marriage of it is, because it's that cinema coupled with the beat 'em ups of the Sega Genesis era and the SNES era, even going into PS1, like games like Fighting Force and stuff like that.
Oh,
and then you take like the technical aspects of a fighting game as well, and you put them together. I've never seen a game do both of those things as well as Sifu has done it. My only gripe so far with the game is the camera gets a little funky when you get caught in corners. Yeah,
dude, the camera is the Sifu. We joked about it, even in the review. I was like, that camera's a black belt, because that son bitch, like it would screw me up more than some of the characters would.
Yeah, it definitely does. But I'm having fun with that, getting my butt kicked. And on the Switch, what have I played? I played Record of Lotus War on the Switch. Oh my God. Again, as a 2D sort of Metroidvania fanatic that I am, seeing that game and playing it has been absolutely amazing. And I played the tech. I'm a big baseball guy. So being that I'm not home a lot, I was excited to have a Switch version this year for MLB The Show 22. And I was playing the tech test, and it was horrible early on. Like
that sucks.
But so yesterday, I guess on their Twitch channel, Sony San Diego did have like they had sort of updated playthroughs and kind of showing everybody what each version of the game has. And it seemed like it's running closer to 30, which is fine for me on the Switch, as long as I can play my franchise across all systems, which is fantastic. So I've been doing that and trying to beat Halo Infinite too. I haven't had a chance again to finish Halo Infinite. So that's what I've been doing. But excited to talk about Elden Ring and all these other games, because I played 2 hours of it last night before I fell asleep. But I can kind of see what the hype is about, especially when you step out into the open world. I kind of get that. So excited.
Glad to hear somebody else liking Sifu, though, because it's easy to be forgotten right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Sifu was big, but then it's like, just, I mean, it took its own hits because there's so many big games.
It's so many big games, and even Forbidden West. Like I talked about this last week on the show, where it's like, so much of the conversation around Zero Dawn was seen through the lens of like comparing it to Zelda when it first came out,
right?
And now you have this comparison to Elden Ring, where when you're talking about people are saying greatest of all time, stuff like that. Does it affect the conversation around Forbidden West a little bit? Just because, again, I think it might be a little different, just because regardless to what I think Elden Ring still doesn't appeal to everyone in the way that a Zelda game might. But sometimes it feels like Aloy is kind of always the bridesmaid, never the bride. Her conversations get cut short. But I'm enjoying all of these games so far. So it's been kind of an awesome start to the year.
Very cool. What about you, Silver?
Mainly it's been Warhammer 3. Put a lot of hours into that. Also, still playing a lot of smaller games on the side. Still playing Rise of the Third Power. Have been trying some demos on as part of Steam's next festival to see what's coming. Some of it's looking really, really good. Like one in particular is right up my alley called Card Shark, which is basically a Barry Lyndon, the video game, where you basically play as a card shark in 18th century Europe, like traveling through like the courts and stuff, hustling people, like cheating at cards and whatnot.
That's awesome.
Like you have to actually more than actually playing the cards, you have to like play the people, like their different personalities and stuff, and hustle them. Which looks to be a lot of fun. Like the art style of that game also really, really beautiful.
What is it? Is it like the Revolution? Is that what it looks like, or what is it?
No, it looks more like old school, like oil painting kind of
really
in style. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Check it out then.
It's quite pretty. Also, musical side is also very like classical.
Is it Austin? Wintry?
I don't believe so.
Okay. I only ask because
sure.
every time it's a small game with a good soundtrack, I'm like, it's probably Austin, and it always is. That dude's prolific as. I don't know if there's like 3 Austins and he pretends there's one. You know how like they say there's 5 people who write every pop song? There's like that group that's out there writing all the popular pop songs. I sometimes think that of Austin. How much is that game?
Managed to get in some
real quick.
That game's not out yet.
Oh, okay.
There's still like all the games on the Steam Next Festival are not out yet. They're coming. Like the demos are just a way for them to showcase.
Sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead.
Also got a few hours in with Elden Ring earlier today after lunch.
Excellent. What about you, Reg?
Well, I mean, 95% was Lost Ark. Of course it was. And
we've lost him, folks.
I played through the prologue of Warhammer 3. That's all I played of that. And of the first hour of Elden Ring.
And Forbidden West, right?
Also the first hour of Forbidden West.
What did you think of the prologue, Reg?
I'm kind of missing. I know that people have said it's like the best prologue they've done in a long time, maybe if ever. But I'm still kind of feeling like I don't have enough information.
Right.
Really
no, I understand that.
It.
Oh, interesting. All right. So Lost Ark is basically everything isn't Lost Ark. So when you're playing something, you're like, well, this isn't Lost Ark. Oh, shit, I opened up the wrong game. This isn't Lost Ark either, damn it. What's happening here? What about you, Absy? What have you been playing?
So I always play Monster Hunter Rise. You know, I got into an FMV game for the first time. It came out on the Game Pass, so I was like, it's like I might as well try it. It's called Telling Lies.
Yes.
You just go look at like videos and stuff.
Yes, the game is good.
Cool.
Yeah, I like it.
It's really good. Like there's a lot. The acting is really good, and there's a lot of content in there. Like they recorded a lot of shit. It was pretty fun trying to figure out stuff. I also been playing this puzzle game called The Signal State, which combines a lot of my favorite things, which is like logic gates and like modulators, synthesizers and stuff.
Yeah,
and it's really fucking cool. It's like I used to use a dock called Reason. I think Karak used it too.
Yeah.
And you can like rewire stuff, and it looks like that. And you just rewire things.
Switch the back and rewire a fake wire in your digital DAW, which was so mind blowing when you first did it.
Yeah. Yeah. So the game is like a puzzle game about you have like a signal, and you
have to get it lined up.
You want to get it lined up, by changing, like doing like a bunch of logic gates and stuff, and like putting an attenuator on it, and it's really fucking cool. And then yesterday I played 10 hours of Elden Ring.
Damn.
I must say though, going from Monster Hunter Elden Ring, like fighting a dragon and seeing him like tail whip, I'm like, I've seen this thing before, you know. Aside from like the controls issues, because sometimes my button to run in Monster Hunter is attacking in Elden Ring, so sometimes it fucks me up. But yeah. That's pretty much what I've been playing.
I had that with Gears of War, where the roll button was a run button somewhere or something like that. And I remember the first time I played, I just got smoked. It was just smoked. It was like the enemies were dribbling me around. I couldn't figure out, because I just kept rolling out of cover, and people just be like, "Boo," and shoot me. So before I talk about what I've been playing, we got a bunch of super chats here. Reading them real quick. Not ignoring your super chats, people. It's just there's actually a lot of stuff to talk about in gaming that's good. That I want to get to. Charles, not Charles, Charles, $4.99. How dare you lower Elden Ring's rating? You monster. Kidding aside, love your work. Thank you very much. Thanks for the positive feedback on that. Lord Metroid, who's been around for a long time. Oh, here we go. Sovereign is here. Respect. Salute to all of you as well. Keep up the great reviews, Karak. Yes,
Metroid.
we finally got him here.
Family.
Sage Midget. That's an awesome name. That's Willow, basically. Great content it is. Great content as usual, Karak. Shout out Lord Patron. Lord Metroid, another one. Sovereign knows what's good. Metroid, salute to all. Special week, $5 super chat. Have any of you experienced HDR settings not applying and being super bright? Now, here's what I think he's talking about. Elden Ring.
No.
Right? Is he not talking?
It happened in a lot of games on Windows.
I'm just saying, I just think right now that came up as well on the Elden Ring issues. I haven't had that. It's a good question. Nobody here, or we have, it sounds like Reg has. Did you fix it in whatever issue you have?
I have with other games in the past. That was always like some kind of weird Windows issue. Especially if you like turn on the TV later, not while booting Windows, and then try to turn on HDR, and it's always buggy.
Windows HDR is balls.
I have never tried it with Elden Ring so far.
Okay.
Like I saw the HDR toggle, but I haven't tried it.
Why Sundaneth, $20 super chat or 20E super chat. I can't remember what that is. I'm sorry. Please buy This War of Mine on Steam and help the victims of Putin in the Ukraine. Yeah, they're doing it. A couple developers, if you guys want to know, Reddit Games has a, what do you call those? Sticky. That's up. That's talking about a couple devs who are doing that. Top GB2, $5 super chat. Is Elden Ring the hardest Souls game? No. Kel, $5. What's up, Kel? Just chipping in to keep the lights on. If I don't, Silver might not be able to afford a color webcam anymore.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate it too, because right now I wouldn't be able to tell what color shirt he's wearing or that he was dressed all nice. But when he was doing the black and white, people were like, "Dude, it's noir. We get it. Knock it off." What have I been playing? What I can talk about, I think. No, I can't. Maybe. I'm going to ignore one. There's a couple I'm doing for review, but the big one, of course, is Elden Ring. I was doing a walk-in for the walk until the patch came out. Elden Ring has sort of eaten up a lot of time, both fortunately and really unfortunately for a game. This is like one of the things we're dealing with right now in the industry. A bunch of Elden Ring, and went back to Horizon. Dude, Horizon, it's Bob Ross. If Bob Ross and Larry Elmore somehow had a child and then merged him with just an oil painting. Everything, Larry Elmore is an old Dragonlance Forgotten Realms D&D artist, and everything about Horizon Forbidden West, everywhere you go, it looks like a place I want to live in. And it's beautiful. It fucking socks me in the face every time I turn it on. I'm blown away by how amazing, interesting. I'm a little bit of a post-apocalyptic fan, but then you add in robot dinosaurs that glow neon, and it's pretty hard for me to dislike. If you've got ninjas and pirates, that game would be like a 50 out of 10. Like that would, imagine if they were like Pirates expansion. I'd be like, okay, that's it. Stop making games, everybody. But beautiful, running around, walking around in that. Just having such a good time. I'm going to check out the game Absy was talking about because I do love messing around in DAWs and trying to attune my ear to some of that stuff. Those kind of games that he's talking about are sort of some of my favorites as well. And then watching Reg do Lost Ark, I think that's been my game. Yeah, I've been really mad whenever he didn't. It's weird. I don't like watching people
like
play games, but that game.
You were like, "Hey, Reg, are you gonna stream? Are you gonna stream?"
Yeah, because like I never do that. People know. Usually when I go into stream, it's to bitch about something or talk about games, and instead I like sometimes I'll get quiet and I think people are like, "Oh, if Karak's not talking, he must be doing something or mad." And a lot of times I'm just like,
focusing.
but dude, so he starts this guy yesterday. It might have been yesterday before. He starts this chick, and it's the first time I had seen her, and she had like her low-level magic spells, which look 10 times better than the high-level magic spells in any other game. How many times you got a wizard and you're like, haha, and he throws a fucking pebble at somebody, and you're like, oh my god, here we go. You know, you're gonna even Dragon's Dogma. I loved it, but at the starting, I was like, oh man, I wish I could. You know, push
Skyrim, like the fireball is like.
Yeah. Oh, dude, the first fireballs of Skyrim. Come on. And it got better, but dude, that game you launched what? Ice, electricity,
like a volcano attack
and fire all at the same time.
Rolling monsoon wave.
And if you're young
basically.
like or old like me, Radio Shack had these things called Eyes of the Storm, which were the globes you could touch and they had electricity
Yeah.
inside. And by the way, don't
have
break
of
one
those as well,
because they
yeah.
explode. But he launched this electrical ball thing, and I was just like, what the fuck? Because that was level 1. Level
the
1.
Sorceress definitely has a lot of flashy attacks.
Oh, she looks so good, man. She looks so. I mean, she looks good too, but her spells look good. Andy Hart, $5 super chat. I'm installing Elden Ring on the Series X now. Is performance really as bad as reported? Use variable refresh if you have it, because Sovereign has it. He said, right?
No, I don't have
Oh,
it.
you
and
don't
I'm
have it.
noticing it. Yeah.
Okay,
I'm
gotcha.
definitely noticing.
Yeah, so let's just get this out of the way so we can talk about fun stuff. Okay, so I changed the review for, so if you haven't seen all the videos, here's a brief summary. Normally when you do a review, they'll tell you what patch you are on, and they'll tell you if a patch is coming. What happened with Elden Ring is they stated very clearly the patch we were playing was the one they wanted us to be playing on. It was the official. Well, apparently, some other people somehow found out about another one that was coming, which I didn't. I have official documents, don't state a new one's coming. So I reviewed it, and it was fine. It was stuttery. It had FPS issues, but it was playable. And I brought those up in my review. Lo and behold, while I was getting ready for the Walking the Walk video, I'd recorded all this footage, which all has to be trashed now. But I recorded all this footage, and I got a ding that said, hey, we're patching this before it goes live. And I downloaded it, and it was trash. Now, there's a lot of tech people who are like, it's definitely the cache on your DX12. That's for sure what it is. And I'm like, listen, jackass.
Suddenly everyone's an expert. Yeah.
Everybody changes what they're an expert on. I'm an expert on the Ukraine war right now. And then tomorrow they're like, actually, I know everything about viruses.
Yeah.
And you're like, come on. It is not that, guys. It dramatically changed the performance in that game, unfortunately. And there's a reason why it's middling on Steam and stuff. Guys, this game is awesome. It is legendary. The stretching of the overworld, which we're going to talk about, because we're going to talk about what we enjoyed. Stretching over the overworld, making dungeons feel like a kid when you win into a dungeon in D&D, because for so long dungeons have just been a grind. You go to the dungeon. It's no big deal. The dungeon isn't dangerous. And Dark Souls said, what if everything's a dungeon? Great. That's why it was awesome. But Elden Ring says, let's step out again and make the overworld explorable and then make dungeons again. And that shit is awesome and really bad performance-wise. Fuck. I talked to CoCarnage on Twitter, DMs, as well as, overt, and he was having issues. It's just really bad. So I changed the review to a wait, and you guys know me. I'm always going to do that. If something like that happens, I have no issue changing my review. It's unfortunate. I don't think it's on purpose, nor do I think it's fishy. I think it was bad communication, and mostly patches fix things, usually. What I have been told is that From is not usually when it comes to patches. I was informed From has a history.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're agreeing with that, Silver? That they
Yeah, I mean on PC, yeah.
Okay.
I mean Dark Souls 3, there weren't a lot of issues with, from what I remember. Like Dark Souls 3 launched in a pretty good state on PC, which was sort of an indication to some that maybe sort of From Software had
learned, right? Yeah.
I think Sekiro, I don't remember huge
I think Sekiro was
issues.
fine.
I think
with
Sekiro
that
was
either.
fine. Yeah.
Yeah, I had no issues with Sekiro.
But I mean, older Dark Souls certainly had a host of issues. Like famously, like the original Dark Souls had to be basically fixed by a mod to run tolerably.
What's his name? Durante's mod? Durante?
Yeah.
So to finish up this little thing, we're going to jump into what we like. I just have to say, you guys know the I don't care. I mean, I'll release a review late or not at all. There's games I haven't covered, Death Stranding. And there's other titles that I haven't covered because I don't like them or because technically I wasn't happy with them. You guys know me. I don't care about the views on that stuff. So I changed that. If you guys have an issue with me changing a review, then you have an issue with people changing stuff when new information is available. The only people who really do that are shitty politicians. The rest of us change our ideas when new information is delivered, and that's what's happened here. So I will continue on it. Somebody said, will I update the review if it goes well? Of fucking course, because I want you to play it. So let's talk about some good stuff for Elden Ring. Sovereign, you're the guest. And by the way, you can talk about the bad stuff as well. I'm just saying I want to get out of this review thing because that's just terrible. What have you enjoyed, or what problems have you had? What have you felt for them?
So I've only played like 2 hours. I put it on at midnight last night, and I thought I'm gonna play like 4 hours tonight. Nah, 2 hours in, I was like, oh no, I was leaning. So I was like,
yeah, right.
So immediately the performance stuff, right? I don't have a TV that has VRR. I've been waiting to move to it's because I don't want to buy another 55-inch TV. I'm looking to buy like 70 inches or bigger. So I'm like, oh no, I'm not gonna do it. So I have 4K HDR, 60 hertz, no 120 either. So it's like I'm stuck with it. So I said, let me go in and kind of deal with this kind of fluctuating frame rate and see what the deal is. As long as it's over 30 and it feels fairly smooth, I'll be fine.
Okay.
And
fair.
So for the most part, it just depends on where you are in the game. If you're in sort of a swampy looking area, you're going to get sort of performance breakdown. Once I stepped out kind of into the open world and I saw areas that didn't have as much foliage and stuff like that, yeah, it ran a little bit smoother. So it just depends on kind of where you are. So hopefully that gets kind of rectified as we go along with the game. I saw pop-in stuff like that. Like the game, again, on the Xbox Series X, overall, the game doesn't look like a revelation, anything like that. But whatever. That's not what you play those games for necessarily. What I did like is, again, for me, over the past 10 years, the games that have sort of defined the open world genre for me, it would be the Assassin's Creed games, and you get into Witcher 3, then you get into things that Zelda did with Breath of the Wild. And for me, when I stepped out after you do the Souls thing where you're kind of, you create your character, you go in, you die mandatorily, you die, then you're reborn, and then you come out and the world and the game starts proper. And I stepped out into the world, and I'm like, okay, this feels like the Great Plateau in Zelda. It feels like, okay, wow, here I am.
Yep.
They're telling you this is the world, go out and do it. And when you can look out over the ridge, right, and you can see your enemies, and you're like, okay, there's one dude over there on horseback. And so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do what it doesn't. It's giving me a golden path forward, right? But I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna mess around and see what I find. And almost immediately, I go off into the swamp area.
Yeah.
And I'm walking into it, and a freaking dragon just drops down. And it's like, you see his health bar. I'm like, no, I don't want to fight you right now.
Oh, shit.
Let me get the hell out of here. So for me, when I was looking at this game and saying, okay, what people are so enamored with this, what is it that is going to set it apart from past Souls games and is going to take the open world game to the next level? I think it is that the idea of bringing back exploration in these games, and making the overworld interesting in a way that I felt like when I played Breath of the Wild, when I can see something out on the horizon and actually get to it and find out what's there. The thing about Dark Souls, a Souls-like game, is that prospect is terrifying, as opposed to like, you do it in Forbidden West, or you do it in Zelda, you're like, okay, I'm going to find something. In Zelda, the worst you'll find out in the open world is probably a Lionel or something like that. But here, you don't know what the hell you're going to find. And that is equal parts super exciting and terrifying. So in the small amount of time that I played it, I think that to me is what excites me the most. The prospect of going out there, being stupid, not following the golden path, and getting trashed over and over again by amazing and crazy looking monsters. So I'm very excited to see where the journey takes me, and I hope the technical issues are ironed out sooner rather than later.
Yeah, for sure. What about you, Silver? You said you have a couple hours?
Yeah, like 2 or 4. Like I've killed a couple of bosses.
I'll be right back. Go ahead and continue. I'm gonna let my dogs in.
Yeah, I got outside of the opening area, got to the point where you can level up and killed a couple of bosses. So I'm still very early. I'm playing 1440p high settings. Haven't really noticed anything particular in terms of like performance issues on PC. So maybe I've just been lucky there, or maybe the problems are like less likely in the opening area, and more towards some of the latter areas. I've heard that's been the case for some people, but maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it plays a lot like Dark Souls 3 did. And I liked Dark Souls 3 a lot. So I'm liking Elden Ring so far. I particularly like some of the quality of life improvements they've given us. Some like a dedicated jump button, which Johnny has sort of spoken to on previous podcasts. It's a nice thing to have. Like the stealth system, it's fine. It's functional. It works. So it's fun to play around with. And it's fun to sort of circumvent encounters and take enemies out that way when you just don't particularly feel like an open fight or something. And yeah, like you mentioned, Sovereign, like the enemy design is often one of the big strengths of these games. Which I think is also the case for Elden Ring, though I have been a little bit disappointed that some of it does feel like it's a little too familiar in terms of Dark Souls. It feels a little too Dark Souls, where I would have liked it to feel sort of distinct for itself for Elden Ring, more like Sekiro sort of also felt distinct for itself. It feels like there's a particular boss encounter, for instance, that feels exactly like a boss encounter from Dark Souls, like down to the boss's movesets and stuff like that. Which I found a little disappointing, but I think other Dark Souls fans will love, because they will feel like this is an homage this is nostalgia, right? To the series. So that's just for me. But I'm liking it so far overall.
What about you, Reg? You did 1 hour, right?
I did 1 hour.
Did you beat it?
Apparently, you're right. Went straight for the last boss.
Exactly. Boss
Reg
rush.
doesn't beat games. Reg, you don't beat games.
I do beat games.
Dude, he
I
bought
like.
the one game, or he got the one game he can't beat. Technically, he got Lost Ark, and now he's
Yeah,
screwed.
True.
No, go ahead.
True.
Sorry.
It's his dream
It
to have
is.
an unbeatable game.
Apparently. No, go ahead,
There
Reg.
you go. No, apparently I skipped the tutorial section completely, because I went out and there's the dude that tells you to jump down the pit, and was like, "Yeah, right, I'm gonna jump down," and went right out, because I was convinced the game was trying to trick me into something horrible. So I went right onto the open world and just went exploring. Found my first battle where the NPCs are fighting each other, and just stood by and waited till they were down in the health, and then went in and backstabbed some of them and then killed the rest. That's pretty much as far as I got.
All right.
Some other mobs I killed. I mean, yeah.
All right.
Been working fine so far. I had one slowdown from a loading problem. The rest not so far, but I don't have a horse yet or anything, so we'll see.
Okay. What about you, Abzy? I know you're trying to deal with your internet, but
Yeah, so I played 10 hours last night.
oh damn.
And aside from issues and all that, I fucking love the game, dude. So my favorite implementation of an open world up until yesterday was Breath of the Wild, right? Just the idea of just being thrown into a world and just go, just do your thing, explore, you're gonna find some cool shit. But in Breath of the Wild, for the most part, you would find a seed or you'd find another shrine. You know what I mean? Like you'd find some cool shit here and there, but mostly it was like stuff like that, right? However, this game just continues to surprise me. Like I can never predict what I would find. Like some of the sequence of events that I would get into is just ridiculous. Like I'd find a crack in the wall, and then I'm trying to be as vague as possible. I'd literally find like a little cave, and then by the end of that, I'd like meet an NPC and then get teleported to this like forest, and then I walk out of the forest, I find like a small ass like little shrine looking house, and nothing's in there but an elevator, and I go down the elevator and it goes down into like fucking Alice's Wonderland, and I'm like in a whole different area now, and it's just and sometimes you'd find something like very hidden and then unlock like a whole new system for you, and just stuff like that is just really fucking cool. I played 10 hours. I didn't even go to the castle up top, like the where it guides you to. I've just been exploring all around. Like Limgrave is fucking massive, and that's the biggest thing I was looking forward to, is just exploration and how rewarding it is, and I think they delivered on that front.
What race or not race? I'm sorry. What class did you choose?
So I started just a naked dude.
Wretch.
Not because I'm like, oh, I want to go hardcore, you know, I want the game to be difficult. No, I just wanted to start naked, like, you know, like how Link did in Breath of the Wild or whatever. And just any piece of armor I find I get excited about. So it's nice to see like rags to riches type thing. Like I was just like a naked dude with a club, killed some dudes, got some armor, got like a massive sword, and I'm just fucking around. I think you know, the only thing though is NPCs sometimes have things they want you to do for them, you know, like little side quests and stuff, but there's no journal, you know. There's so you have to either memorize all that shit, or I keep a notepad just to like keep track of who I talk to and what they want from me. But dude, I just like Limgrave is just ridiculous. It's really big, and every single time I find like a new dungeon or something new, I think I can tell like, okay, maybe I'll find just a boss with like an armor. Nope, it continues to like surprise me and takes me in twists and turns, and it's like, ooh, piece of candy, you know. You just like find something and you just like follow it, and it leads you to somewhere else, and you forget what you were doing before. And I feel like I just have to be thorough and like fucking double take everything. The bosses have been pretty cool designs. Some have been really easy. It's really weird because there's no, the way I'm exploring, I just don't know if I'm like over leveled for something or under leveled for something. So sometimes a boss would be fucking mad difficult, and other times I would just go and one shot someone, you know what I mean? But yeah, I'm having a great time. Issues aside, I'm kind of dealing with that. I hope they can fucking fix it, because, you know, stuttering, I hate stuttering, but I'm just in awe a lot of the time. So
so you haven't faced even one story boss then?
No, I've not stepped. I think my next thing I'm gonna do is probably go to the castle, but I'm not sure yet. I'm still, there's a lot of ground to cover, dude. Like there's just I'm you know, and I don't know how to talk to people about it, because you don't know what they've seen or not seen. Like maybe like, so I just, you know.
The reason why I asked that is because that's one of the things I like about the game is, you know, I got somebody mad at me, even though I did do assassinations. I guess the editor put in mostly just me stabbing, because I did stab just a lot. And people were like, why are you just stabbing? I'm like, to test. Because if I kill them right away, I won't know how much a normal damage would do to them. And if I luckily kill this guy, but 3 guys are over there, and I notice I don't do a lot of damage, I'm not going to try to engage with them. So I'm testing all the time. Every major boss I run up, and the first thing I do is stab and look at the life bar. And I'm like, oh, fuck!
Same.
And I run off.
Like I'd like randomly like get fucking somehow teleported or thrown into another zone.
Yes,
right?
I know the exact spot you're talking about.
And so I'd go and I'm like, I'm fucking scared shitless, because it's a really creepy fucking zone. And I'm like, what the fuck? I went down a rabbit hole, right? And I'd go and I'd hit an enemy and I'd see the health bar go like, dude. I'm like, okay, I'm turning around. I'm not supposed to get out of here. I'm gonna get the fuck out, you know?
Dude. And
I love that shit.
I'm not gonna ruin it for anybody, but that first main boss is like the thing that always happens with Dark Souls to me. Every other game doesn't do this, and this is one of the reasons why I like it. And I talked about it in the review. When I'm playing Elden Ring, or when I'm playing Forbidden West, and I see a Tyrannosaurus Rex, there's a couple ways I know he'll attack. And if he's got rocket launchers, well, guess what? He's going to shoot rocket launchers at me. This game, the guy will come up and he'll look somewhat normal, and then he adds something to his body, which people who've played it for a while probably know what I'm talking about. And you're like, wait, what just happened? What's going on now? And and one of these guys, I was fighting him normal. He didn't do even normal move set at all. I was fighting him. I was like, oh, I died. And I decided to shoot him. And the action he did was beyond nuts. Like I've never seen that in a game. I shot him and it was like a spider monkey. He had never done that for hours. And I guess it must be ranged. He's trying to get away from it. But no lie, I just dropped I was like, what is happening? I thought the game was bugged. I was like, and then he just like instantly does that thing where they leap towards you, and I'm all, that's pretty cool. Boom. And just fucking smoked
like
me.
I don't know if you thought that there's like a statue looking boss. It looks like a statue.
Yeah.
The way it behaves is like an automaton or something. So it'd be like winding up and then boom, instantly, you know? So all this surprises you.
Statue.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. I just, Fuck, I forgot. Just go for it.
Do
Go for it, I
you guys
forgot.
do you guys who play more? Do you like to do parrying, or you rather just block and roll out of the way and stuff like that, or is parrying a big part of your game?
I am definitely in this game much more into rolling.
Okay.
Yeah, me too. I'm also, yeah, I'm like doing like a sword with like a ring type dude, like a faith kind of, you know, spell. I don't know, like a mage warrior type guy, inquisitor or paladin or whatever. So I've been rolling for the most part. I don't have a
Admittedly, I've
shield
also
right now,
switched
so-
20 times because I got a barbed shield that does damage and hurts them. So then I did start parrying. But then, then I'll switch out and I'll grab a weapon. And it'll be like, you will not use this weapon efficiently because you're not strong enough. And I'm like, fuck you, man. It's mine. I'm like swinging it for 15 minutes to hit one guy, but I don't care. I'm like, it looks cool. Go ahead. What were you saying, Abzi?
I also I did kill a dragon, which I'm pretty happy about.
Nice.
I think that fighting a dragon was probably my favorite fighting a dragon in any game on horseback, just running around, like maybe
Dude,
other than like
it's
maybe Monster
elite.
Hunter.
It's
But
elite
dude,
on horseback.
I'm on horseback and the dragon's just like coming out of the air. He's coming at me and I'm like fighting him on horseback, and I'm getting this feeling, this excitement, like I'm a kid, like dreaming about a fantasy game. And it was such an exciting fight. It wasn't like the most difficult. It was just so much fucking fun. Or when you're on horseback and killing other people on horseback and you're just like kind of jousting and shit and like running, and I fucking love that shit, dude. And yeah, just like my favorite thing in RPGs has always been, you know, going into a zone that's way too high level for you and getting your ass beat and then coming back and killing those guys. So it delivers on a lot of these things.
What I was going to say was, because people were wondering what the difference is. Like, I think one of the major differences, and I talked about this in the review, but I've always felt the Dark Souls games have like a thick rubber band tension. So the farther you go away from a site to heal yourself, the more that tension starts pulling you back and the more danger. Well, Elden Ring is like, we're going to let that be a much thinner rubber band. You're going to be able to go, take some chances, maybe do well, but you can always run. Well, mostly always run.
Mostly.
And that rubber band is lighter. There's a lighter tension. You get into the dungeon, that tension's right back to normal. It's just like any Dark Souls game. You get it, even though there's a place to heal, there's guys leaping, but the game does two things that I think work in that way. It stretches that out, so there's two distinct differences, but it also has you survive paranoid 90% of the time. There'll be a bad guy in a corner in one room, and then 3 rooms, there's no bad guy in the corner. And you're like, well, fuck, there should be a bad guy. Like, that spot looks like there's a bad guy. But they do something incredibly intelligent. Almost every dungeon teaches you the next thing that you may encounter if you go forward in the correct pattern. So, for example, there's a dungeon with characters on the ceilings and walls where you normally, unless you go right at the starting and face off against the bat guys, you wouldn't face them. And so what happens is it teaches you how to fight those guys. And then you now have that. And by the way, that dungeon, when you beat it, you get the shittiest little trinket. I think it was like plus 5% resistance to fire, but it's your first trinket.
Yeah, I know
you're
what
like,
you're talking about.
Oh, and really it's like holding up a useless rock, but you're still like, I got through this. But the game, it teases you to make you think that item is what it is, but really you're taking the collected experiences, and then you go outside and you actually engage in the collected experiences and that usefulness and experience outside versus a dungeon moment right away. And so what I was learning was there were times where I was like, I remember how to do this from 2 dungeons back. What was it exactly? Versus Dark Souls and even Sekiro, where it was. And sometimes people don't learn the best that way. And I think these guys finally figured it out. That my friend Cadiz is like this. He faced the first guys in Dark Souls, and he's like, fuck this game. I can't learn because I can't even see what's occurring. I'm just dying. Like, I can't. There's no de-stress moment. Yeah, and you hear it all the time. People learn less under stress. Some people, I learn fairly well under stress, but I think we all as humans, the majority don't. And so what they did was they were like, okay, let's let it stress. But what Sovereign brought up that is fucking amazing, and I'm going to talk about this in the Walking the Walk. When you come out of that area, if you look, there's 6 discrete little paths, and you've got that guy on the horse. And it's like most of us go, guy on the horse, dangerous. But if you look closely, what you'll see is there's a couple guys over here, there's some guys flying, and there's an empty space. But if you go over that empty space, guess what? Right around the corner, there's bad guys. Because they're like, we're going to make it look safe, but it's not. We're actually going to put the people who are very hard right here, the people who are somewhat hard right here, people that there's a lot of them, which is always dangerous in a Dark Souls game because you can die so quick in this game if multiple people get around you, like the dogs, these crooked back dogs. Dude, whenever I hear them, I just summon my own dogs instantly. Like I'll hear them about, and I'm like, fuck it, summon, because I don't want to fight them because they get behind me too
Summons
quick.
have been helping, dude.
Summons are so good, and you get the little
awesome.
bell, and you're like,
yes,
ding. Oh.
Dude, I did that once. Going back to your trinket thing, I did that once because there was like a cave, right? And you go in, and there's like 20 enemies attacking you, and at the same time, 2 bosses are fucking with you, right? And then I finally defeated it. I used the bell to summon like this angry mob of undead. But after I defeated them, I just got like a shitty trinket or something, and I was like, well, that was lame. But then I found like another opening. And I was like, wait, what's over there? And I go up and I'm on a fucking island. And then the island
I know
had some
exactly
cool
what you're
shit.
talking about. Yeah.
Dude, I was like, fuck yeah. Like, I just love that type of shit, you know?
I want to read these super chats and then everybody can continue this just because we got a lot. And I want to make sure I read them all real quick. I normally don't get this many. All right. Oh, hey, Poth is back. What's up, guy? New to Souls only. Only played Sekiro with quick ending. Chose Confessor class. The parry is different. Any tips? Because I can't get a refund on Xbox Series X. If you're having an issue with the parry and stuff like that, what I would say is start using there's a couple good shields in the game that really do eat up a good amount, and then roll, because the roll does have what I consider to be pretty big immunity frames in this game. And don't weigh too much. I did it again. I went in and I'm like, armor for me, and I tried to roll, and he doesn't even roll, Reg. He's like
the fat roll.
I know.
Bad back roll,
the
man.
Warrior. I took the warrior.
Yeah,
He's
dude.
Like, boom.
Dude, it's like he's got a fused back. It's like my dad trying to do a somersault.
Yeah.
It's like a log, like a caber toss. And you're just like, why? And then I looked at heavy load, so I took off a helmet, which, by the way, some helmets don't even really raise your stats. They turn them blue, which I guess indicates like quarter of a step. I took it off, lost 5 pounds, medium roll, and I was like, oh, this is magic. Monk gave us $10 super chat. Never played a DS game before, but wanted to give this one a try. Mind blown. Equal amounts of You're Dead and wow, this is amazing. Do you agree with all the people saying this is peak Dark Souls? I do, but I beat it. We'll return to see if everybody agrees as they play it all the way, but go ahead.
I will say the hardest thing I found in the game by far is deciding what points to put in to what stat and deciding what I want to do.
Okay.
And I think that's by far the most difficult thing I've experienced in the game.
Novotic, $20 super chat. Thank you very much. The game is amazing. The epitome of From Software. I acquired a weapon from a boss off the beaten trail. All I got to say is it's called the Battle Hammer. yeah. It's such a sick boss design. Bradley, $10 super chat. At times like this, we can be thankful we have Forbidden West. Keep us busy while they patch Elden Ring. Finally caught a podcast live. Much love from Australia. Thank you from down under. And last one from Bubbles. Appreciate the content, guys. I enjoy watching while working, and you guys help keep me informed during this exciting time in gaming. All right, so continue. Anybody have anything else? Go for it.
I feel like one of the other quality of life changes I really appreciate is they did away with the weapon durability system, which felt really, really pointless in Dark Souls because it was so easy to repair your weapons.
Like, why have it?
That there wasn't much point to it being there in the
They
first
looked at
place.
Breath of the Wild, they were like, fuck you.
It was just kind of a minor.
What'd you go with, Silver?
inconvenience.
Because I had to let my dogs in. What weapon or what are you rocking?
I'm rocking the Vagabond. I usually go sword and board,
Sword and
for the first playthrough of either that or the spear for the first playthrough of a Dark Souls game.
Okay, I don't want to ruin something. That's a good weapon to have. I'll just say that.
Yeah, I mean, the spear keeps you safe a lot of the time. Like it's a very newbie friendly weapon.
Halberds, spear. Well, yeah. There's if you buy some,
they give you range,
and some tomes will give you a little bit of data, and you'll see where they'll directly tell you their weakness is a weapon, which I don't remember Dark Souls stating the general weapon weakness. I could be wrong, but in this game, there's a couple where you buy it and it'll tell you directly a weapon type that they are actually weak to, which I thought was cool because it wasn't like go find the faux hammer of Godatonin +5 and you're like, oh god, I gotta find that. Instead, it was like swords and you're like, oh, all right, well that helps me out. Go ahead.
I will say that I've heard some people talk about instances like Apsy mentioned where journal could be useful because some of the quests you'll have somebody say go find
Dude.
like Nathan or whatever, and they won't tell you, and you won't get any information where to find Nathan.
Summoning bell.
They'll just
Silver.
say, "Go find Nathan."
You can miss the summoning
luck.
bell.
Yeah, very easily.
I missed the summoning bell for probably 15 hours, and then you open up a place where you can buy one. She's right there. You're supposed to do one thing, one cutscene, and I didn't. Sovereign, were you going to say something about?
Oh, no.
Oh.
I'm just listening because you guys are definitely bigger souls. For me, like I love these games, but I don't get far in any one of them because I fall off, and then the next thing comes out, and I don't have the time to invest in them. But I don't mind getting my ass kicked time in and time out. Like I love it.
I'm honestly not a huge Dark Souls fan.
Either
I'm not huge into it. I got it because
would be mine.
Yeah, Neo. I like Neo far more than Souls.
Oh, I love Neo.
Like going into it, I didn't buy it because it was like from the Souls aspect. I got it from the open world exploration aspect.
Also, Sovereign, we were telling stories about like what games we've liked because there's Surge, there's Forgotten Kings, or what the other one that the Surge guys made. I can't remember the name. I swear to God.
Lords of the Fallen.
Lords of the Fallen.
Lords of the Fallen. Yeah.
But dude, I got to tell you, Sovereign. So I was playing Neo 2, and this was prior to it being online, so you couldn't invite spirits to help you. And I fought a guy 157 times. I died, and I never once got mad. But my wife was so mad because the music.
Really?
She went to work and came home, and the same music was playing. And she was so, I heard her from the other room.
Right.
Again! It was because it's just the same thing over, and she's not like that. But like, even, if somebody plays the same song on repeat, you're like, listen, Vanilla Ice is fun, but it ain't that fun. So, dude, I don't think any of us are huge. There's something about this one that I think they're trying two things, the open world as well as making gamers learn, have some time to learn a little bit more. And I think it's fascinating because so often you hear get good and some people are like, okay, I get it, dude. But at the same time, the game doesn't really allow for somebody to play it the way they want, the way that might best suit them for learning. Because I'm not a big fan of making an easy mode. If you want to, that's fine. But what these guys did wasn't that. They said, we're not going to do an easy mode. What we're going to do is just make sure there's a little bit more data in there for people, a little bit more time to sit back. Because how many times have you done Skyrim where there's a long amount of time to sit back? This one finally allows that and allows you to learn and go, okay, I know what to do now.
It does, but I can't help but also feel like it also does the opposite in other ways through the open world, where there's less readability in terms of progression, like where should I go and what should I do. Then that's always been sort of an issue with Dark Souls, not necessarily conveying that particularly well. But I feel like that's even more so with Elden Ring for new players, even though you will see like a golden shimmer path or whatever from the camps, very useful. From the camp or whatever, like pointing toward the like main story progression. But I feel like it can be paralyzing to new players. I could see that, like that sort of open world scope.
I guess I could. I did use a lot of the markers because once you realize you can put down a shit ton of markers.
Right.
So like what I was doing was on a piece of paper, I'd be Mark 1 was like a boss that I didn't want to fight. Mark 2 was a chick who gave me some quest.
Much like Breath of the Wild.
Yeah. I hate their quests though in this game. Hey, there's a pebble. Anyway, bye. And you're like, what the fuck does that even mean? I'm not lying. There were times where I was like, what the fuck am I supposed to? And I said it in the review. I'm like, instead of not knowing where to go or who you could fight, you for sure, that is for sure an issue. There are times where you're like, and I thought I had broke the game when I didn't get the summoning bell. I was like, oh man, I messed something up. Like
very easily missable.
Very easy. And luckily you can actually get it not too long afterwards, but it was like that thing where I was like, oh no, because I've had that. You guys have been with me pre-review where I've been reviewed and I get the bug no one else gets.
Oh my God, all the time.
Your guy isn't upgrading at all. F you. And you're like, oh, I told Fighting Cowboy about that. I actually did have one save game for about 2 hours where points wouldn't go up. So I went in, I bought a strength, nothing. And I was all, uh-oh. Is that a glitch? And then you're like, is this a Dark Souls thing? You're like, are they making the stats hard? The big issue I have, guys, and I don't know if you agree, but I think the inventory sucks balls. I
saw that you mentioned
multiple buttons to see one thing stuff. Detailed view, mini view,
And you can't compare.
And you
don't
can't
think.
compare that I never was really able to, I had to buy it or then remember and then go back into the store,
Yeah.
if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Terrible.
Yeah, I did that too. I had to like go into the vendor and be like, wait, is this better than mine? And then I had to exit out.
Or have
and
you
go into
noticed,
my
Abzy,
inventory.
to put something on your vest, you have to do a completely different thing than equip it for your hands. You go to the right over on the, and you're
or
like,
the quick items, right? Also the quick
Yeah.
items where it's like you either equip it in the slots or you
Yeah.
have to exit to the main menu, not main menu, but like the main pause, so that you could equip it to your quick slots.
do you
It's, like,
guys do what I
weird.
do too, and decide I want 3 weapons ready for my left arm and right arm, and then forget that strength takes that into, or weapon weight
It's
takes that
heavy.
into
It
account.
gets it heavy.
Yeah.
Dude, I did that.
So I was
that.
heavy
Yeah.
because I just had a bunch of weapons. I
Yeah.
had all my weapons equipped. I was like, I'm
No,
ready.
That's always been the case. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
it has. I just forgot, and then I was like, I mean, I look
Or
like a
even a
porcupine
torch,
by that
dude.
point.
Like
Even
the
a torch.
has, yeah, but honestly, I recommend getting a torch because dark places are dark as
Lantern.
fuck,
They
you know?
sell lanterns. I don't think this is a
Oh,
spoiler. They sell
oh,
lanterns
shit.
you can clip, like Dragon's Dogma on your.
Oh, nice.
You know
Yeah,
what, though?
I haven't found
Dragon's
that
Dogma put that out when you rolled in water. Remember that? It would put the
Mm.
lantern out. I don't know if Dark Soul, or I don't know if Elden Ring puts it out, but Dragon's Dogma, you do that roll and it's suddenly dark, and you're like, oh shit, because it would put it out. I don't remember. Aaron, $5 super chat. What could other games learn from Elden Ring? In my experience so far, the diverse environment replaces overbearing UI. Oh, well, lean UI for sure. I mean, it is pretty lean when you're playing it, I think. Right? I mean, what's it got? It doesn't even show your stamina and stuff. That disappears, doesn't it, until you run? Or
it disappears.
You can
outside
set
of
it to
combat.
auto. Yeah.
Oh, you
where
can
it's
set it to auto. I
context
must have-
sensitive.
Because outside of combat, you don't use stamina, which is nice. Like you could
Mhm.
sprint, roll, anything, and
Dude.
it doesn't use up stamina, which is good.
You already mentioned it, but I got to say it. You guys just don't understand. You know, Red Dead had giant horse balls, and I love that. Horse balls are amazing if they grow
It's the
larger
best.
in the heat. But horses in Elden Ring kick the shit out of Red Dead.
Yeah.
Holy shit, it feels good. Even
Dude,
though he's
double
Mario
jumping
double
and-
jumping. Yeah.
Bro, exactly, dude. Double jumping and hitting a dragon in the face.
Oh, I know,
Dude,
it's-
it's so.
Dude,
fucking
you hear
sick,
like
dude.
music from movies. You're like Conan.
Yeah.
You're like, ha, 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 ha.
Yeah,
The
and you're just
Valkyries.
charging. You're
Oh.
charging, and the guy is like shooting fire all around you. It's
Dude,
just-
yeah. Or when
fuck,
when
man.
they're like on the ground shooting and you're running as fast as possible as the fire's right behind you, and you're like, son of a bitch, I
You're
should have
like,
jumped on my
dude,
horse.
The cool thing, dude, when you like pan the camera around and like he just has breathed fire on the ground, so the ground is still kind of on
Cinders.
fire, and I'm coming out of it with the horse and just like trotting on it. It's just, yeah, some of that shit just feels so good.
I think it's cool that we have all these awesome games though too, because like Sifu
Oh, for sure.
is so awesome, but it could be easily forgotten. And then maybe somebody does Elden Ring and they get some tech issues, they might be able to go back and try Sifu. But I do believe Sifu is maybe not. It may not be equal to this because this is trying to do all these other things, but technically it ran better. But Sifu does something like fans like myself, who I'm Virtual Fighter is my favorite game of all time.
Mm.
And then you get Sifu, which is Kung Fu Theater to me. Every Sunday I would sit and watch Kung Fu Theater and stupid martial artists flipping in the air.
Yeah.
And then you play Sifu and you're like, holy shit, I'm fighting a botanist. Like the first level is a dude who grows trees. And you're like, what the It's so amazing. And then you have Forbidden West and Warhammer. Warhammer can be easily forgotten, I think. There's a lot. Grid Legends, I heard, was reviewing quite well, which is a racing game. And I love racing games. It's a good time. It's a good fucking time to be a gamer, man.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
It puts a smile on my face when I know that, like, I'm going to wake up and there's a really high chance the games I'm going to play in February, by the way, are good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's nuts. And we have Starfield this year. We have a lot of
We
shit
have
coming
something
out.
unannounced this year, for
Oh
sure.
my
We have
God,
got another
stop.
big one.
Oh my
Yep.
God.
And dude, and then I was talking about this with others. I don't know about you guys, but I'm super excited at Call of Duty delayed. I'm super excited.
Yeah.
I think that's great, man. Let's percolate some ideas.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't even hate Call of Duty. I'm just saying it's
Yeah.
obviously, you know.
No, but
So
taking a
we're
break
getting
was
this
also
year, so,
great for
yeah.
Assassin's Creed.
I mean, see what happened when
Yeah,
Assassin's
true.
Creed took 2 years, right? They completely changed the formula.
Sovereign, so you're saying we are getting 2022.
I'm getting 2023s on time.
Okay,
So
okay.
we're getting this year's. That's going to be Modern Warfare 2. But yeah, next year's is getting delayed. So yeah, I mean, honestly, I haven't.
Another Modern Warfare 2, like Modern Warfare New 2.
Yeah, exactly. So they're gonna continue the reboot. Yeah, I haven't cared about Call of Duty in a long time, and despite it being great every single year, it just feels like when you look at it, they all come from the same mold, and they kind of feel the same. I just give it some time, man. Just give it a year. I don't know that a year is enough, but it's something. It's like you guys were saying, like Assassin's Creed took 2 years and came back with a completely different formula. So yeah, I'm excited to see what they come up with. I mean, I would like them to shut it down for longer than that, but I understand the money train.
What would you like to see from a Call of Duty game? Like what can they change that would make it exciting?
For me, just the way it plays generally. When you look at any Call of Duty, it has that quick movement. They all sort of feel like they're made out of the same mold. I go back to the drawing board when it comes to the graphics, the overall look of the game, and just make it feel a little heavier. It's funny having Halo back now, right? You have Halo back, and it feels completely distinct to Call of Duty. COD is very quick, fast paced. Time to kill is quick. Halo is a more measured type of game, and there's more weight to it.
Yeah,
and I would love to see them go that route and not be so run and gun, and be a little more measured. But again, I don't. It's good. It's going to be a tough line to sort of toe, because they don't want to alienate the millions of people that play it every year, and maybe keeping Warzone as the core Call of Duty thing maybe appeases those people, and they can take some more risk with the base franchise. I hope so. But that's what I would like to see. Definitely, just go back to the drawing board and redefine what Call of Duty is.
Here's the cool thing too, guys. I think they're adding something by delaying it. One more year of playing the multiplayer. Because here's what I hate about Call of Duty.
Yeah.
I don't even know what Call of Duty we're on. And this happens all the time. I played that one with Sleeve and Brav, and I thought that was the last one. And they're like, what? No, that was like fucking 2 Call of Duties ago. Or it was, I can't even remember which one I'm talking about. And I was like, wait, what? And then it's the free ones. It's like, I know there's like the free one that's the open world or whatever. There's all these different ones. And
Which
I'm
was
just...
always...
Go ahead.
What was so funny when, for example, they did some modes exclusive for PlayStation. It's like it's exclusive for a year, so the whole lifetime of the
the lifetime of the game. Exactly.
You artificially limit those who like the very thing. Now, I'm not saying if it sucks that you should stick with it, but what I am saying is there's been multiple ones where it hasn't sucked, and we've lamented them moving on. And I think the idea that they have an extra year, they can say, let's sink into this and say, what can we improve? What can we make multiplayer where people don't feel like it's all monetization? What can we make a multiplayer where it's not always somebody bitching about what are the dial-ins where you dial in a drone? You always heard that. People are, oh God, there's all these drones coming in. Kill streaks. Yeah. Let them sit back and try. And if that, I mean, I agree that the money train keeps going and that there's probably investors and stuff. Blah, 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 blah. But with Microsoft now and them, I would like Microsoft. That's one thing I do think that Microsoft's a little bit more of an elder statesman kind of thing, where they're like, dude, if we can delay Halo, you can fucking delay Call of Duty. Like, we delayed our premiere game. I mean, I worried about Halo when I saw it. That shit looked terrible. Like, when I was seeing the betas of that and the trailers, I was like, oh no, this is my... And it turned out quite good. Maybe not the height, but somebody said they missed a super chat and they're asking, so I want to read this. Majestic says, I just asked if Elden Ring is accessible to a Souls nooblet. You know what? I saw this post and it is gone, Majestic. If you're saying if it's good for a new person to those games, it very much is.
I think it's the best one to jump into if you couldn't get into the other Souls games, because you have a lot more flexibility in what you can do or where you can go.
Yeah.
I think there was one from Andy Hart too. I don't know if you read that one, Karak. $2. How many hours are we talking for campaign?
Oh, okay. So if you're talking about just the bosses, 20, 30, 20. Well, okay. See, I'm not the best player. I would say like I'm middling, and then I'll get a boss where, like Absy was saying, where I kick his butt. And so this game's, if you're just talking about the story and not getting lost, see, that's another problem. I got lost, which added 10 hours onto my game. For me, just the bosses, removing getting lost. Well, that's unfair because I got lost. 25, 30 maybe. No,
It's weird
maybe
because
even
like
longer.
so much of it is skippable. Even I think
It's not only skippable, but I play organically, meaning I don't golden path. I will if I want to. If
Same.
that's what's fun, then I'll golden path. But if I see like a cool boss, I will spend 4 hours going, what the fuck is going on with this guy? I got to get this guy. So, and the dragon, funny enough, I did what Abzy did. I don't know if I over leveled, but I hit the dragon one time and I'm like, hey, I might be able to do this because he's surprised. I was headed a totally different way. And I'm like, I might
Same.
capture this for the walking the walk. There's some guys at a fire and there's some people in the, and I'm
on
like,
the water, right?
yeah. And I'm like, I'm going to take these guys. And it's like,
Just comes out of nowhere.
yeah. And then I'm like, what the fuck is happening? Because I have my stereo turned up. But I would say good play. And that's another thing. You know, people have said, can you beat it without getting hit? There's going to be somebody who plays this with their fucking feet and a guitar controller.
Yeah.
Like, we know that.
Yeah,
but a
for
normal,
sure.
I would say I'm middling, and then I do very well against some bosses, and some bosses my brain does not work, and I have to, I'll sweat a first boss, and then the third boss will be like, what the fuck? This is nothing. It happened in Neo 1, for instance, big time. So, yeah, I would say that's probably right if you're a mediocre player and you just did the main bosses. But man, how would you? Because I had to grind you were, in fact, Abzy was saying it's hard to decide what stat. Not for me. Even though I had a dex item and a strength item, I fucking increased weight limit. That's the first thing I did. I found a boss, or I found a giant outside of a healing area, jumped on my horse. You get 1,000 per for killing him. I grabbed a branch, turned it on, which gives you more gold. And I was just like, killing him as many times as possible to get my stamina up so I could carry more and then wear, heavier armor and do that. So that's the kind of player I am, is like, I like some heavy armor. Because
for me, I've just been like, I loot like an item, like a very high level item or something, and I see what stats it needs and I just work towards it.
Oh, do you? See, I never work towards an item. I usually sell them, to be brutally honest. And in this game, I like it because you can upgrade your weapon with different, you can move the arts. So if you like the foot stomp, put a foot stomp on something else. If you don't like it, like I got this one where you put your hand out and the weapon wheels in front of you. Like
that's sick.
Yeah. And, but it's shit.
Okay.
Yeah. So I got it, right? And I'm like, dude, fucking greatest thing ever. And the first time I do it, people are hitting me and I'm like, that's a shit. That's not the way I play, but you can switch it out so easily. So what were you going to say, Silver?
Did you guys notice that on the character creation screen, I mean, like with Dark Souls, you get like a starting item that you can select.
Yep.
But this time around, it's completely obvious which one you should pick, because you can pick like a golden seed, which is the item in the game that allows you to reinforce your healing, so that you get an extra healing bottle.
I
didn't even think of that, but you're right.
Yeah,
I got a key.
Right, but
I got a
key. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Because I'm always nervous about not having lockpick good in a game.
Right.
So I'm like, key. But you're right. You're way more right than I am.
That's the first time they've given you that as a starting item. And I went, like, when I saw it and then the description for it, that it was more healing bottles, I went,
of course.
No, that can't be right.
Yeah,
like,
no, but it
they
makes
can't give
sense,
you that
right?
as a starting item.
Yeah, that is a good starting item. The other one's like a useless rock. There's always one useless one, right? I think that's sort of the joke in Dark Souls, is there's always. Do you think you're better at beating games than a Shiraku and Radbrad? No. But don't they just do walkthroughs? I think they just do walkthroughs. But, well, does Radbrad beat games, or did you just call the video walkthrough, preview, review, and then never return to it? I don't know. A lot of times I check Radbrad out, and he's got like three videos on a game and then never returns to it. But Kneve asks a question. Oh, that was the question that I answered. And then what else do we got? Selling items in Souls games. That will take you far, especially when often there's like one or two of the type, unless they're in a loot pool. Yeah. Well, you can buy back.
Nice.
You can buy back, yeah. I think when you look at Forbidden West, you look at this, you look at Sifu, GT7's coming out. Those are your games of the year so far, right?
And
Dying
Warhammer
Light
3.
2. Yeah.
What'd you say?
And Warhammer 3.
And Dying Light 2.
Dying Light 2 won't win, I bet, because
No,
it
I don't
had
think
the
it will.
bugs, and, even though Elden Ring has bugs.
Game of the Year lists.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I might have not explained that.
Yeah.
I apologize. What else do we got?
Well, I mean, end of the year, supposedly.
And we got
Starfield
Shadow Warrior
will
3
miss it,
coming
I
out.
think.
Probably.
Zelda, maybe.
Zelda.
Shadow Warrior 3 is coming like next month.
Shadow Warrior 3.
Mm.
Probably just, I mean, well, I can't talk about it because I do have it.
Mm.
What other ones? FOH. FOH, Tessa says. I don't know what that is. FOH. I don't know what game that is. Forspoken.
Forbidden
Oh, Forspoken. Yeah.
Forspoken.
Oh,
Yeah.
the one I
Yeah.
always forget the name of.
Yeah.
Right.
Andrew asks, is Gotham Knights this year? I was told Gotham Knights is for sure this year.
Yeah.
Now, whether that's true or not, I can tell you, God of War Ragnarok, sorry, Plague, I still firmly believe that's being delayed. If I'm wrong, I can't wait. But I just feel like that's, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Have they really said that's for sure this year?
I mean, wasn't it supposedly last year already?
They put a 2021 on it first, and I was like, no, there's no way. And then
There's
they
no
said
way, yeah.
delayed to 2022, and then they've just been silent. So
Yeah, and I also want to say, thank you everybody for showing up for the podcast. I usually say that more often, but it's awesome. We just got jumping into games so much. It's Babylon's Fall is another one. Ghostwire Tokyo. You know, Ghostwire Tokyo is raising up on my list, man. The more I'm seeing it, the more I'm like, that could be really enjoyable. The new Bethesda game in space, I think that'll miss Game of the Year. Right? Won't it be?
It might. Well, it's November 11th. It might just make it. Maybe I don't know what the cutoff is.
Bethesda knows, right? They're like, let's
yeah.
make sure that's on the list. Yeah, dude, it's crazy. There's so many good games that I'm sure we're missing.
Stalker.
Stalker
Oh,
2.
Stalker.
Yeah.
Well,
too.
Stalker. Well, Stalker. We might have.
I know.
mean, I know.
I know what
Yeah.
you
So
mean.
we don't.
and Atomic
Yeah.
Heart as well. the
Atomic-
other-
Wow. Atomic
Yeah.
Heart looks amazing.
So
That
there's
was
3 games
yeah.
that may be delayed because of the Ukraine situation. Atomic
Mhm.
Heart, one I can't remember, but somebody will remind me because we talked about this last night. And then
Oh
of
yeah, the
course,
Russian one.
and
the
then
other
you
one.
have Stalker, yeah. And then
Mm.
the one that the guy made that looked a little like Ascent, and it came and went for a while. The Last Night, the Cyberpunk, and I think he had some issues.
That one's American, I think. But I'm not entirely sure.
Oh, okay. I thought that was a Ukrainian or a Russian creator, so I could be wrong on that.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Oh,
But I
Stalker
could be
Dev is in
mistaken.
Ukraine. I didn't even
Yeah,
know that.
they're in the Ukraine.
Yeah.
And in
Oh,
fact,
shit.
yesterday their website went down and people were posting it in Reddit going, uh-oh. And most likely it was more along the lines of just cyber war. It wasn't like they got...
Yeah, the last light is from London.
Oh, okay, well, okay.
British, right?
Yeah, sure.
What else?
A Plague Tale.
Oh my God.
Oh, the second one, right? And
Yeah.
isn't there a second? What do you call it? The other one, Senua's Sacrifice.
Oh my
Yeah, they haven't said.
They haven't said. They haven't said.
But yeah, it
Mhm.
could be. I'm like I said, there's got to be something that they haven't spoken on yet.
And the one that the Greedfall devs are working on.
Nightingale?
The
Or is it
Automaton
the other one? Oh, yeah, I don't
Yeah,
remember.
yeah.
But you got Nightingale got bought. That developer got bought by Daedalic Entertainment or something.
Yeah.
Oh, people are buying shit like all the time now. These days, they're just buying companies.
Dude, Nightingale looks awesome. Somebody asked me if I'm reviewing fucking Elix 2. Dude, does a bear
I
shit in the
mean,
woods?
Yeah, exactly.
Come on.
What kind of question is
Who's
that?
playing Elix but can't talk about it? Probably me. Yeah, dude, come on, man. At minimum, you're gonna see me talking about it. I'll tell you that much because Elix
You
is
jetpacking away.
dude. Even if a game sucks, you got to give it 1 out of 10 for jetpacks. That's all I'm saying.
Yes, absolutely.
jetpacks.
That's true.
And a game that says, no, not only jetpacks, you can have fucking air jousting against enemies in jetpacks. You're like, dude, that's my game right there. Like, I don't even know. That's what I love about B games. They'll try shit that no one else would try, and it may be janky, but it's still there. And they're like,
Yeah.
somebody might try this. You were talking about Plague Tale 2, though. Dude,
Oh man,
that
I love
is...
that first one so much.
Yeah, same.
Oh, man. Dude, does anybody dislike Plague Tale? Like, it came out of nowhere.
No,
It's
it
like
really did.
everybody I talked to behind the scenes was like, have you played it? I'm like, dude, I played it twice.
It's
before
just
the
like
review was
it's
done."
just there's just no issue. It's just like a perfect.
You know
pretty
what it
good
reminds
game.
me
It's-
of?
you know?
Guardians of the Galaxy. Where I played it without any bounce. Usually I bounce off something in a game. I'm like, all right, I gotta talk about this. There's a bit of a bounce. I didn't bounce on Guardians. Combat wasn't great. but I didn't bounce on it. And dude, Plague Tale. I remember there were, and you can't say what you're talking about, but you'll be Twitter DMs, where somebody's like, dude. That's all they'll say, dude.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, I knew, dude. And they'll be like, dude, did you, dude? I think it sounds like a bunch of bros, but everybody knows what everybody's talking about. And to me, that's exciting when you get that much, like, when you get reviewers who are excited because it's so enjoyable. That's magical to me, man. Like, that's why I got into gaming, was like, I wanted to return to that fun time when people are like getting your Nintendo magazine in the mail, You're just like, oh, this is the shit. Speaking of that, though, I do want to talk about something. So Warhammer is Sega Creative Assembly, right? Is that how it's done?
Yeah,
I believe so.
So what's going on with Sega outside of that? Have they really, is there anything that Sega is doing that is like, I guess.
I mean, the Yakuza games, like Judgment and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
True.
I don't know. Outside of that,
they announced Virtual Fighter, but it turned out to be
also Persona is also Sega.
Like Virtual Fighter 5.1.
Persona.
Yeah, Persona.
And
Okay.
Dragon, whatever.
Well, wait,
Dragon
Persona's
Quest?
Atlas.
Yeah, but Atlas is owned by Sega.
Atlas is
Yeah,
owned by
sorry.
Sega.
I'm not saying AM2. Like, I'm not saying they're Daytona people or something coming back, which I would kill for. But I'm just saying,
love that.
oh, dude, if they're like Headhunter 3 is coming out, fucking, Sega Daytona Virtual Fighter, that shit would, like,
Panzer Dragoon Saga remake.
you wouldn't even need to be on the net. You would hear my scream wherever you lived in the world. It'd be like Krakatoa exploding. Guardians of, or
Echo the
Last
Dolphin.
Guardian.
Yeah.
Or not
Guardian
Last Guardian.
Heroes 2.
Guardian Heroes
Guardian
2. That's what
Oh
I was
my
trying to say.
Yeah, bring me back Treasure. Just
Dude,
give me Treasure
Give
back.
me Treasure back, yeah. Now, see, that's the thing. You got to Embracer buying these IPs that, like, are dead, but, you're hoping. If somebody went, I don't know what Treasure's doing right now. I don't know if they're defunct completely or what, but if somebody said, hey, we want to buy, Guardian Heroes from you, I wouldn't be able to contain myself. I probably wouldn't review that game, actually. I would probably be like, give me the early code, but I don't want to say, because that's so near and dear to my heart that it's very difficult. Mr. Bones 2. Hey, you throw Mr. Bones 2 here, you'll see me scream like a schoolgirl. I'm just saying.
Scud,
Scud.
the assassin.
Holy shit. Yeah, see, that's why I brought you on, because I knew you knew some Sega stuff. That kind of
man.
Oh, dude. That's what I want to see return, because we do see Embracer doing a good job with they did the Alien one, Against All Humans.
Yeah, Destroy Humans.
Destroy All Humans. I would love to. Golden Axe, somebody just wrote. True Golden Axe.
Given like the resurgence of like 2D beat 'em ups and stuff lately.
Hey, what'd you guys think of Street Fighter or Streets of Rage 4?
I liked it a lot.
Okay, liked it a lot. All right.
I loved it. I thought it was very. I don't know that it moved the formula forward necessarily, but it showed that you could do that type of game in a modern kind of modernize it and it'd be fun. Yeah, I still think 3 took more risks in terms of variety and stuff like that, but it was great, man. These guys, well, they're the same guys that are doing Shredder's Revenge,
right?
And oh man, like
we just had a 2D beat 'em up, like old school from like the Mega Drive 16-bit or SNES days, come back as like a remake that had never released in
stateside
outside of Japan.
Do you remember what it was?
Not even in Europe. It was called something Girls.
River City
Girls. River City, yeah.
River City Gals or River City Girls?
River City Girls. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you remember River City Ransom?
That's
So they brought it back, and it's actually a very good game in terms of like the depth of the fighting mechanics. It's very good, very very good. They actually released just recently like more of a Double Dragon style homage one for the Switch, maybe like last week or 2 weeks ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about, which was basically the old one, sort of revamped and then repurposed with like new cutscenes and like anime comic panels and stuff.
Nice.
SBZ
really cool.
says River City Girls 0 is what they're doing at 0. So that's like the remix is now called. Oh, Alien Storm, Andy? Dude, somebody knows Alien Storm.
Alien Syndrome. What about Alien Syndrome?
Yes, we're talking Master System shit now. Like those guys, man. Yeah, I'm a big fan of all those, and they're all dead. IP-wise. Zillion, which they'll never make another Zillion, but there's some of my favorite games of all time from Sega.
Mhm.
So I would like to see Sega pop up because I don't know, man. We're seeing a lot of these other. I guess maybe Yakuza replaced. Obviously, Yakuza replaced
Shenmue.
Shenmue.
Yeah.
And did a good job, admittedly.
Yeah, and thank fuck. Exactly.
Yeah, because dude, Shenmue remake, not 3, but I remember trying that on the Xbox original, and the control was quality of life had not stepped up.
The
Super
voice
bass
acting,
area.
pristine voice acting.
The thing about it is that they were experimenting with what do we gamify and what don't we gamify?
Right.
And Shenmue just said, I'm going to gamify everything. I'm going to gamify opening a drawer and see if that's fun.
But raising a kitten, and you're just like, it's wet. It was rainy in '87. We're gonna have it rainy in our game.
Books. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. But at the same time, Altered Beast, of course. Yeah, I mean, dude, these are all games that, like, Altered Beast to me speaks to now. Like, that's a surprising one that somebody hasn't said let's do, because Altered Beast seems to fit in so many. You could do so many things with Altered Beast.
Do you remember the 360 sort of reboot?
Yeah,
it was kind of horrible.
And PlayStation did they just did a remake of it, but they put Altered Beast on there, I think, or something. It wasn't very good. Shining Force is another one. Shining Force is gone, guy. Andy, I think Shining Force is dead. Shining Force and Dragon Force, the Sega Saturn RTS.
RTS.
Yeah, I guess is that what it was? Was RTS? Yeah, it was, because or was it turn based? But I just remember like playing it, and you got your knights fighting the dudes. It looked so good. Iron Storm for the Sega Saturn.
The pixels, man.
I'd really love to see a rebirth of the Strike franchise, like Desert Strike, Jungle Strike, Urban
Who
Strike,
wouldn't?
First Strike. Yeah.
So here's the thing. I checked into this. So the Desert Strike, Jungle Strike, Vegas Strike. Didn't they have Vegas?
Yeah,
I
yes,
think.
they
Yeah,
did.
where you were like shooting the Luxor and shit. Which, by the way, I've stayed at the Luxor. It's worth shooting. I would say those probably. I do know that they sort of went away due to the Desert Storm stuff. Like, people were like an Apache blowing people
And
away.
getting
Like,
absorbed by Electronic Arts.
yeah, but they were talking about even remakes were shut down politically. Now I think you might,
Right.
Depending on where you base it, you might be able to get away with it. Those games, those are the days, man. They get me a little choked up inside.
I know.
They get me a little choked up.
Dragon Force was working designs, and they're gone.
Yeah, working now. Are they gone where their IPs like No One Lives Forever, where it's IP hell, or
That I don't know. That's one of those things. Yeah, once they become defunct, I don't know. I mean, it might just be a Sega IP.
dude? I know some people at Sega, luckily, that like the reviews. I need to just be like, dude, invite me over. Give me 1 hour with everybody in the room. I will sell you on making this game. I wouldn't, but I like to think I would, by pure fandom. Like, we all fans think we know how to make games. Guess what? None of us do.
No, not at all.
Yeah. I'm doing a walking the walk for Elden Ring, and I was looking up game design, and one of the guys was talking about and he said that From Software stuff is IKEA, and he was comparing it. It was actually a very good comparison about how they expect you to do stuff. Here's their target audience. But one of the things he was bringing up is that most of the time game fans know what they like. They don't know how to make it. But they know what they like. And sometimes they'll become confused. They'll think they like something and find out they like the 2 quest parts prior to the end. Or they liked the end part of the quest but don't realize the first 2 parts suck donkey balls, which would happen in like Witcher 3 sometimes. We have like 3 steps and you're like, that was a great quest. And then you remember that the first 2 times you were killing like deer for livers. And you were just like, that probably wasn't that good. Red Dead's come under a lot of heat for that lately. Linear missions in Red Dead 2. Where you hear a lot of people say the world's open, but the missions themselves are so linear and so restrictive, you know, which admittedly is true, but it never bothered me. And then when somebody mentions it, I'm like, oh, yeah, they're actually right. It just didn't pop up. Strider, $5. Can we get all 3 episodes of Shining Force 3 from the Saturn? Also, I'd love a new Jackal.
Jackal, wow.
Jackal? What the fuck was Jackal? I don't remember any.
NES.
Oh.
NES, and was it an arcade game?
I mean, one of the main issues with Red Dead, in terms of like how tight the scripting was, that sometimes it was so tight it would break.
Oh, for sure.
Like there was, there was one mission in particular where you have to do the second train robbery you have to do, where you have to put a wagon over the train tracks. Like the scripting breaks where you have to get the the wagon to the train before it gets there, but it breaks where the train just always gets there before the wagon. You can get the wagon there, so you just get instant mission failure all the time, like mission failure, restart, and it just is this infinite loop of having to restart the mission. You can't do it.
That's
because the scripting breaks because of how tight it is.
I don't know what Jackal is. Did you look it up?
Yeah, it was an arcade game. I think they made an NES version, but it's some Konami, and it's an overhead running gun shooter. I played this in the arcade, definitely.
Oh, gotcha. Dude, back in the day when arcades were a thing.
I know.
Man, 25 cents got you kicked. Just got your ass kicked, and you bought into it. You paid to get your butt. You paid to go home sad. If you kicked the game's butt, somebody was better than you every day. You know, put your quarter down and be like playing, doing well, and somebody puts their quarter down, and you realize their thumbs have little indents from playing, and you're like, "Fuck."
Yeah, man. I mean, I come from the New York arcade scene was huge when it came to like Street Fighter, particularly like Tekken and stuff like that.
Tekken.
Yeah, so we used to go to a place called Chinatown Fair, which was famous for obviously the players that went to play there. But you also had, like, when you walked in, there was like they always had a live chicken sort of standing in the doorway.
What the fuck?
Yeah, it was a thing.
It was a thing.
Wow.
Yeah. Method acting for an arcade.
Yeah, exactly. And it was just like that scene was crazy because you'd have these guys that were essentially pro players in there just playing nonstop. And, you know, there was nothing that could stop you from like, hey, I'm going to put my quarter down and go next. And you were out of there in like 20 seconds, you were done.
Dude.
But you got the opportunity to play these guys. And if you were dedicated and you went there every day, they would take you under their wing and they would definitely show you.
Yep,
it was a very cool scene, man. It just doesn't exist anymore.
The holy grail in those arcade halls for me was always Mad Dog McCree. Like
oh my god! Do you know what mine was
FMV.
Dungeon and Dragons, or any of the 4-player ones, like Teenage Mutant, where 4 people could stand next to each other.
Afterburner. Yeah.
Dude, Afterburner
Or
was
Gauntlet?
the jam, but
Oh, no,
Gauntlet.
not Gauntlet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Gauntlet. When they're like, the elf is about to die, that was burned. I remember because my dad worked at a fish plant. I would work illegally till like 9 at night at this fish plant, and then I would go play Gauntlet with all my. So my dad would pay me. Be like $40, and I'd be out $40 worth of quarters. Be like, we can't give you 40 right now, but I would just continually trade it down and play, and it was just elf is about to die, barbarian's about to die, and it didn't matter. It was so good. I want to read these real quick. Michael Klein said, "Did you guys really enjoy Legacy of Kain?"
Oh my god!
I mean, yeah,
Yes.
like Legacy of Kain were classics.
Well, I mean, off and on. Some of them were a bit of a
Cash in?
we're better than others.
Cash in?
Yeah.
But
I mean,
definitely-
the Soul Reaver games, and particularly like, I mean, they ended on a high note. I think Legacy of Kain Defiance was really good.
It was good. Yeah.
And a decent way to sort of end the saga with.
Graham's
I would-
go ahead.
I would love to see a remake of both the original Legacy of Kain and Soul Reaver. Like that would be amazing. Just get Amy Hennig on it and like just go bonkers with it.
Did you guys play Shadow
Just too
Man?
bad that Tony, what's his name, who voiced like the Elder God? He
Tony
died. J.
Tony.
Passed away.
Yeah.
Did he pass away?
Yeah, sadly. Like 10 years ago, I think.
Graham
Or
C
something
says
like
the
that.
New York arcade scene definitely needs to be a movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would.
Special time.
Dude, when we have seen a lot of documentaries on like the arcade scene, you certainly see documentaries on Japanese and the import scene, but I don't think we see a lot on just specifically New York City. But I mean, that was we didn't really have anything. We had fairs. We didn't even really have games like in most of our stores. The state fair would be once a year. And that's where, like, the first time I saw WWF wrestling and was blown away, the Ultimate Warrior would pick somebody up and go like in pixels, and I was blown away. Like I remember seeing it going like, that looks real. Of course, we always say that, right? Every generation, that looks real, and then the next generation, like, wow, it didn't look real at all.
It's
Not at all. Yeah.
Dude, D2 on the Sega Saturn D, and I was like, this fucking game looks, it's real, dude. Look at her, and then
I remember.
it's something that's so obvious that we say, but each gen, you're like, dude, was I wrong? Or how did I not see this? Like, you see pixels off people's faces.
Do you remember the first time I saw the first pictures of D2 on the M2.
On the
You remember
M2
M2?
hardware, baby.
I was like, oh my god, dude. Yeah.
And I
You've
remember
never seen reflections like
and
this
they're
before.
like, it's a, you know, they're like, it's RISC versus MISC processors, and they're talking all this processor tech, and I was like, this 3DO was talking about their shit, and I'm like, this is gonna be the greatest thing ever. And they did D2 on the Saturn, I think, or D, maybe it was just D.
D on the Saturn and the PlayStation.
Yeah, and I remember all that tech. Mega Drive. I had a TurboGrafx 16, which just like Game Gear, fucking batteries would last for like 17 seconds. You know, you'd plug it in.
Oh, the Turbo Express. Yeah,
Turbo
yeah.
Express. Thank you. Yeah, and I had that thing, and I'd take it to school and just be like, and it looked, I mean, almost
it was
good.
amazing.
Yeah, because it was basically just the hardware in a small.
The hardware in
like
a small,
the,
yeah.
Like the Game Gear was like Sega just said, fuck it. Here's a system.
Here's a master system.
Plug it in, and you're like, the batteries would be so fast. The back would be hot, and it'd already be dead. You'd be like,
well, the Game Gear definitely, but the Nomad.
The Nomad.
That was the portable Genesis. That was like an hour later you were done. Like,
yep. And then I still had the Sega Genesis with the cartridges, baby. The stackables, the 32X. You stack a cartridge on a cartridge on a cartridge.
Yeah.
You were just
the
like
power-based converter to play the Master System games.
Dude, those were good days, man. Those were good days. I mean, it's cool now. You got, like, I would have never thought we'd be doing digital downloads for games. Like, it just didn't even.
Yeah.
It didn't. I remember when Steam started, which sucked, by the way. Anybody who tries to pretend Steam was awesome.
Oh yeah, it was terrible.
Horrible.
It was horrible.
It was horrible. It took me forever to download Half-Life 2. I was like,
yeah.
Oh, God.
And just working their store. They were just like Epic. You know, people I diss on Epic. I mean, their store sucked. It didn't even have a fucking cart. But when Steam first started, I remember Steam had this warning. It was like, if you can't play your game, feel free to go in offline mode. But what they didn't tell you is you had to go into offline mode at least once to run it. So it'd go offline. You'd be like, ready to play. Go to offline mode. You're like, I'm offline, dude. There's no internet connection. I'm as offline as you can go. And you would get all these, you couldn't move. You couldn't even move games from like hard drives. So you'd have to use like Game Save Manager to move.
Like
I do dynamic links in Windows to move. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Somebody asked where Johnny is. Johnny had a headache, guys. He had too much sex. Or maybe not enough. But he couldn't show up.
Speaking of old games, did you
One of
guys
the
ever
two.
play Pharaoh, like the strategy, like city builder? Pharaoh
Oh
was like
my
Egyptian-
God, that's back in Populous days. Yes,
Dude,
I played Pharaoh.
They're remastering it on Steam right now. You can download a
Wow.
demo. It's fucking crazy, yeah.
Dude, so Populous was what's his name? Populous?
Peter
Yeah,
Molyneux.
Peter Molyneux.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I just don't want to say his name 3 times and have him show up. But Peter Molyneux and Derek
Oh, we're up
Smart.
to twice now. So.
Derek Smart, I said it twice. I'm not going to say it a third time. He follows me on Twitter, which is, I guess, awesome. But those guys actually did do some cool games. And Populous is one of the, I remember having an NES, or not having an NES, my friend did, JD, and going over and seeing Populous on an NES and just being like, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen. Like, I just couldn't figure out, it was like raising, and the music, that bit music, and it was some of the greatest times seeing those different games. They really tried a lot on the older systems. They really tried to fit
Yeah, I
things
mean,
in.
Populous, Lemmings, on and on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Lemmings was so good.
Lemmings was good, dude.
I love those God games, dude. Just throwing down tornadoes and shit. There's a lot of them.
And
Yeah,
what
man.
happened every sim game, Sim City?
City,
You were like, oh
yeah.
yeah, I'll build a city
Yeah.
because I'm turning disasters on.
Yeah.
My
City,
introduction to
Live,
that.
Sim,
Yeah.
whatever. They had
Yeah.
like a couple sim.
Cement. Yeah.
Yeah.
I found those kind of intimidating until I played ActRaiser. ActRaiser.
ActRaiser.
I was just like, wait a minute. They married these two things.
Yep, I
This is
get it
so much
finally.
fun. And then I get it. Yes, let me play this other thing.
Yep.
But it wasn't until ActRaiser, because I would look at them and I'm like, oh man, I don't know about this. And it just looked like it was super intimidating. And then I played ActRaiser. I was like, okay, I get the gist of this.
Mm-hmm.
And it just it pushed me to sort of seek out games that were more in depth than that. So yeah, definitely like games like Populous. Any of you guys play Black and White?
Oh, dude, we
Yeah.
talk about it a lot. Yeah, yeah. Dude, Black and White was awesome. They tried, and that's the thing is, a lot of times they would sort of trick you into thinking more was going on, but I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
You thought more was going on, but Black and White and Giant, Citizen Kabuto were like two of my
Oh,
MDK,
yes.
MDK. I was
MDK.
just like, this game.
Planet Moon
Shiny. Yeah,
Studios.
shiny.
Yeah, Flugen Brothers. I still remember on the
Floygen
Dream
Brothers,
or Floygen Brothers. Dude,
Dreamcast.
somebody fist bump. I didn't know anybody knew that game, but I
Oh,
remember with my
brother.
friend. We was it? What were their names? Ugo and Boo. I can't
Something
remember
like
the
that,
two
yeah.
brothers, but you'd like have each one do the job and go in. Super chats. I want to read these real
And
quick. 'cause
Giants also had jetpacks. No
Yeah,
doubt.
well, yeah. I mean, there you go. Right. Armed and Dangerous is another one back in the day. KD.
Yeah, all from same studio.
$100. I know. $100 super chat. Longtime fan. First time in the stream. Just wanted to show support. Don't always agree with your reviews, but I appreciate your attention to detail to where you always provide more than enough to form your own ideas. You're a great creator. Love. Thank you very much. I do like it when anybody says, you know, like, I don't always agree. It's like, I don't even agree with my own family. You're not going to agree with me every time.
Fuck you, but I love you.
Yeah. I mean, you don't even need to say it. I totally get it, man. Like,
You're a piece of shit. No offense.
Yeah, well, no, they didn't say that, but or no, what is it? With all due respect, like in Talladega Nights, he's all with all due respect. That idea is shit, and he's like, you can't say that. And he's like, I said all due respect. I can for sure say it now. It's like that's not how it works. But I appreciate it, man. Back in those days, that was Shiny, though. Were we talking about Shiny with
That was
MDK?
shiny. That was MDK. Yeah.
Shiny was
MDK.
sacred.
It was Shiny. Wait,
I think
not
also,
sacred. Not sacred. You mean Messiah?
or was it? Or was
Messiah.
It
Messiah. Was,
Messiah with the fat little cherub
with
baby.
Cherub, yeah.
And then we also had one of my favorite games of all time, which I know it sucks, guys, and I think Silver dislikes it. I can't remember, but Omicron for the Dreamcast.
The Nomad Soul.
Yeah, Nomad Soul with David Bowie doing a full soundtrack for it, man. And I was blown away. Like, those dudes did crazy shit back in the day with those. I mean, we get crazy shit now. We do. I'm not saying we don't, but it was so fantastic to see people stretch and try. And you'd find a developer like John. I feel that Carmack does a really good job. He's nerdy, but he does a pretty good job sometimes telling you the tricks where he's like, we weren't able to do this, or we found out just recently that Morrowind crashed on the Xbox and that's why the loading screen would be long. And they froze the loading screen and let the entire Xbox reboot without telling Microsoft. And we just found that out. No one knew.
Wow.
Yeah, they announced it was less than a couple months ago. They were like, here's a secret no one knows. Morrowind would crash. We just froze the start screen and let it reboot behind the scenes. So sometimes you get a long boot or a long load screen. It was completely crashed. They just saved the state and rebooted it. Yeah.
That is so
I love
funny.
those tricks back in the day. Remember when you couldn't play a racing game to get out of the car because the graphics engine couldn't handle both? It was like, and then GTA came along and we're like,
Or Driver.
And then Driver tried to do it.
Driver
And
tried to do
it
it.
failed
Yeah.
spectacularly.
I remember that.
dude, Driver, man, that's crazy. You know, I had forgot all about Driver 2. Was there a 1 and a 2 for that?
I don't
1,
know.
2, and 3. 3 was the one that tried to make you go out of the
teleport?
car.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, then there's one that you could teleport between cars, right?
Yeah, that was
Like,
Driver San Francisco.
Yeah.
That was Driver San Francisco. $5 super chat. Wizard of Smoke. What's up, dude? Thank you for the trip down memory or nostalgia lane. Reminded me of when I used to annoy my mom with the theme of Toe Jam and Earl. Oh man, yeah. Remember when you were a kid too, and you were like, "This sound like." I remember playing Space Harrier, and I say this all the time, but fuck it. Listen again. When he dies and says, "I'll get ready," and they did subtitles because it doesn't sound like that, but you thought it did. And then when you go back and listen, he's like, maybe, but it says get ready, and your brain is like, it's real, dude. Ghouls and Ghosts, the first time I saw it when Altered Beast, when he's like, rise from your graves. It's terrible. It's not even close to a voice, but because of the subtitle, you were like, wow, they're talking in our games.
They're talking in our games.
Joe Montana football.
Football. Oh, I was just going to say that.
Oh, dude.
That was amazing.
He drops back for the pass. 10-yard, and you were just like, it's over. Stop making games. This is
And
the
then
end.
it would zoom in. It would
Yes.
zoom in on it. I was, oh my God.
See, that's the magic of, like, I get people, it's easy now to look at these games and be like depressed or whatever, but we're still getting those amazing games from triples and from indies, but
Yeah, every week too.
there was something about having to wait that helped me like them a little bit more. There was something about that. I am a journey versus a destination guy.
Oh, for sure.
There's something magical about everybody going at school going Christmas time, Ghouls and Ghosts is coming out. And Ghouls and Ghosts was nut-crunchingly hard at the time. And I remember getting that first one on the Genesis and then coming back to school after a winter holiday. And how far did you get? Did you kill this guy? And then you go back home and try whatever your friend told you, you know? Such good times.
I remember getting Double Dragon on the Master System before it came out because I went. My dad took me to Sears to he's by that time I forgot how old I was, but
Sears was the
probably
shit.
10. Yeah, and it was the illusion of Santa Claus is gone. So my dad was like, okay, you pick out what you want for Christmas, and we got there. They had the NES with the light gun and everything. I think it was either the Rob system or the light gun, and they had the master system with Hang On Safari Hunt built in and the light gun. But the Sega came with a special deal that if you purchased that console, you would get Double Dragon before it came out to stores.
I forgot all about this, man.
And what they touted was that this was the real arcade version of Double Dragon. It was 2-player, unlike the NES version that was single player.
Yeah.
And that did it for me. Like I was on the fence until I saw that. And then I said, because Double Dragon, Cog and I would spend hours upon hours playing Double Dragon after school. And to get the, the quote unquote arcade experience at home, that was it. And I kind of thought I was never going to get it because I'm like, this is not going to happen. So probably around February the following year, get a package in the mail. My mom was like, here, this came for you. I'm like, I get the box. Dude, I didn't want to, I slept with the box. That's
wow.
How enamored I was with it. And the funny thing is, so I wasn't allowed to play games during the week. Only Friday.
Yeah, right,
Saturday,
right.
Sunday.
You mean your mom and dad were like, games are for the week? Yeah. Okay.
Games are for the weekend. So I'm like, please, can I just try it out? Just for an hour. And she's like, okay, fine, try it out. And then it's got to go away, right? So the next day I go to school and I just bring the manual with me. And I tell Cog, I'm like, Cog, you never guess what I got. He's like, I got Double Dragons. I'm like, whatever, stop lying. I show him.
Man, you do a good rendition of Cog. Stop lying.
Stop lying. And he's like, let me see. So I show him the manual. He loses his mind.
Oh, dude.
And he's slick because he can play whatever time. He's like, you think I come over after school, just check it out, whatever. So he comes over and I tell my mom, like, Cog wants to see this. And she's like, okay, cool. Just a little bit so you can see it, whatever. So he knows full well he's allowed to play all week long. So he's like, he asked my mother. He doesn't ask me.
Yeah, if you borrow it.
Hey, I can borrow it until Friday. And so I look at him. I have this white come over my face. Oh, man. And she's like, sure, no problem. Yeah. I'm looking at him like, you bastard.
Dude, that's something you remember forever. Like 10 years later, you screw them over and they're like, why? And you're like, Double Dragon.
That goes in the book of grudges.
Yeah, that's in your book of woe. It's funny with Double Dragon too is like pixels. Back then it was all pixels and they couldn't draw all the pixels on the screen. So sometimes you get that screen, empty screen.
The tear. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And dude, Double Dragon was the best, but for me, it was Space Harrier. I walked into Fred Meyer, and Sega wasn't as popular, but they had a kiosk system that Nintendo did not, and it had like 6 games. You pushed a button, and it would just show you the video. There wasn't even the game. And I pushed that button, I saw Space Harrier, which happened to be one of my favorite arcade games of all time. Like, I loved the idea, and I remember getting that and just being like, dude, I just didn't even come out, like, for weeks. Like, it was just like every night going home. I remember, because my son, because at the time I was taking martial arts, and he's like, dude, you need to come to class. And I'm like, yeah, I'll get there. I'll get there eventually. Just playing that thing for hours on end. It was just such a good time, man. And that's the thing is, like, whenever I talk to somebody and they're all, hey, man, this person can't give a rating on, like, Final Fantasy because they never played the original. I'm like, dude, people are screwing. New babies are born every day. New people are coming into gaming. Like, they don't have the memories you and I have, but they've got their current ones. And so when I see somebody love a current RPG or something, I sort of get that secondary
it's
love
their starting
from
point.
them.
Yeah, it is their starting point. Yeah, for sure. It's funny we're talking about these now because, with the 3DS eShop closing and the Wii U eShop closing, I got the FOMO. I'm like, you know what? I got to get my 3DS back and get these games. I can't believe they're going to go away. And talking about the Sega, so Sega remade a lot of their games in 3D for the 3DS, but so it would only work on that console in that way. And Space Harrier is one of them. And dude, Space Harrier in 3D.
I had the original 3D glasses, Bo.
Yes. In Zaxxon, right? You played Zaxxon as well.
Oh, dude, there were a couple, not a lot actually. That was a sort of a wasted money buying that 3D glasses, but it didn't matter.
It didn't matter.
It did. I mean, and those were the times where all you could do is run straight forward. The graphics engine couldn't even do more.
Exactly.
And now we get these games that do 18 fucking things, and you're just like,
anything off to the side, it would break the immersion completely.
Oh, Sword of Sodon, Matthew, bring in Raston, Sword of Sodon,
Raston,
Black Tiger, all of those. As Absy is just like, what the fuck? Because Absy's half my age, I think. Absy, you're in your 20s, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm 27. I'm what do you
You're
call
the
it?
young
Millennial. I'm the young dude.
Please don't do
I
that.
mean, I'm the oldest thing. I mean, I played Galaga and shit. I played a lot of the old arcade games Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, obviously.
What's everybody's first
Yeah.
game? First.
Gex the Gecko on the 3DO.
Dude, and he talked.
Nice.
Be like, let's go,
Yeah,
let's
yeah.
go, Scoob. Let's get back to the
Dana
mystery van.
Gould.
Dana
Dana
Gould.
Gould.
I remember
Let's go
that
back to
one
the mystery
sentence played 1,000 times, but I was so enamored by voicing games. So Gex, what about you, Reg? What was your first game?
First game I remember was Pong for the TV. Like a console you plugged into the TV and it did nothing but Pong.
And the later one allowed you to plug the gun in and you could shoot the ball. And I remember my mom and brother were playing and they didn't know I was behind them shooting the
Like a
ball.
little
They were
thing
so
that
mad.
you could pick out the dial. and
Yep,
then
the
you
dial,
could-
the
yeah,
dial,
yeah,
and all it did was just like change it from one bar on each
Yeah.
side to two, and they'd be like doubles tennis, and you're like, that ain't doubles tennis, but you still thought it was. What about you,
yeah, so
Silver?
that's the first one.
The first game I remember owning was probably Ice Climbers, which came with the Nintendo Entertainment System that we
Blizzard,
bought.
right?
Ice climbers, man.
No, that was Lost Vikings, I think.
You and your
Oh,
fucking
okay.
eclectic games. What the fuck is ice climbers, man?
Ice
Is
Climbers
it what it is?
It's a 2D platformer where you're playing as basically an Eskimo trying to climb up this basically 2D,
like a mountain?
Arena.
Uh-huh.
And then the arena is segmented into these like
You
smaller
climb
sections
ice.
that you're going to climb higher and higher. And then occasionally, like you'll get mauled by like a polar bear. In,
Occasionally, checks out.
in shorts with sunglasses, and you'll have to like get up to like the final objective up in the very very top of the level.
Gotcha.
And then the levels get increasingly complex as you progress.
Sovereign, what was your?
and,
first? Go ahead.
and the Eskimos are armed with hammers that they can
Yeah.
use to knock enemies.
I mean,
and like
yeah, they were
and,
well-known
like,
hammer wielders.
And you can even if you time it right, you can even hammer the feet of the polar bear and get it to like jump around in one foot.
Oh man. Anyway, Sovereign, what were? Do you remember your first one?
I definitely remember playing Pong, but what stuck with me the most was Major League Baseball on the Intellivision.
Oh, in the television.
Yeah, because you remember you had to swipe out the different sort of overlays.
Yep. Oh my God, those are all. That's back in the day, man.
back in
Is
the
that
day.
even before?
That's
That was
78,
78 to
79?
79. Yeah, because I would have been 3 or 4. Was that prior to Atari or is that after Atari?
Yeah, that's
2600.
prior. That's
Prior to Atari, yeah.
Yeah.
Reading some of these people in here: Super Mario Brothers, Duck Hunt, Wolfenstein 3D, man, Shakan the Forever Man.
Wakanda forever.
Dreamcast almost remade that, man. I got to talk to the
Yes.
developer. They had pictures and art and everything, and it unfortunately didn't get made. Tetris, Captain Comic, then Commander Keen. I remember Commander Keen, but Captain Comic.
Commander Keen. Was
Yeah.
that on the 3DO as well? As it was
Yeah.
like a twin stick kinda?
But Commander Keen, I thought, wait, was Commander Keen 2D or was it a 3D top down?
That was 2D.
That was 2D. Okay, yeah. Manuals. The person says
Same
they
thing
remember
as
manuals
Duke-
more than the
same
game.
thing as Duke Nukem to start with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was one on the 3DO that was kind of like a twin stick shooter. Fuck, I need to look this up.
3DO was the bomb, but it was just like Neo Geo, man, where it's expensive.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
Neo
more
Geo,
expensive.
800 or 1200 for the system, 300 per game or whatever. It was
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah,
You knew
King-
your friend was rich if they had that.
Yeah, King had that.
I
King
know,
had
that's
that.
what he said that one
was
time.
like, and we would just like go bonkers playing, the SNK fighting games and whatnot. And Cog and I, what we do also after school, we'd go to Nobody Beats the Wiz, and they had a display model there, and you could play for like 15 minutes at
Yeah.
a time. And they eventually end up kicking us out, but we used to play like Baseball Stars. We used to play
All
Magician Lord.
and
Yeah.
Magician Lord is so good, by the way. It's still actually good.
It's still it's a hard game. That's
Yeah.
a super hard game. Those SNK games are
SNK
super difficult.
they were noticeably more. Remember back in the day when it was like Data East,
Mhm.
Konami, SNK, and they all sort of had their one-offs of each other that were
Yeah.
one-offs of like Street Fighter or whatever, but they were always harder. They always had some little thing. Data East had a couple games I remember. I
Captain
bought.
Quasar. Sorry.
Oh,
I
you're
just-
talking about Captain Quasar.
Quasar.
Yeah.
Yeah. yeah.
Ultima 4, Jurassic Park. Jurassic Park was god-awful hard on the Genesis. I don't know if that's the one.
Oh yes, I remember that.
I love playing like the fact that you could play as Alan Grant or the Raptor.
Dude,
was
that
freaking
game
amazing.
actually was the first Dark Souls of Dark Souls games. I don't know what it was about the Genesis version of Jurassic Park, but I remember crying because I couldn't get past the part. My brother was 7 years older, and he's like, my brother. He's like beating up on me all the time. He's like, fuck, I'll do it. He sits down after work. And by the time he's done, it's just constant cussing from the room. It's like, motherfucker, what the? That game was rough. Somebody wants us, and this person's asked this 20 times, so I'm going to hit this. This is important to him. Kneve says, can you guys talk about, and we'll move on anyway, can you guys talk about how to revive the pure stealth genre now that games like Metal Gear Solid are gone? And Thief is gone.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's possible to like revive the
What about
genre in terms of
There has to be an action component to it. That's the
Right,
thing.
okay. Nice.
It's I think it's when you speak about
too
Thief,
much of a
right?
niche.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I like the fact that in a Splinter Cell game you can play as a ghost and you can strive for that, and that ability is there. But a game like a Thief that is purely about stealing, getting in, getting out, not being seen, it just, I don't know, it just sort of feels like if you can program, I think a lot of immersive sims kind of give you that option now, where it's like you can play it as an action game or you can play it stealthily as you want, but a game that's built purely around the stealth aspect and nothing else, I don't know that works.
Because I was going to bring up Plague
was, like,
Tale, but even
6.
Plague Tale
I mean,
brought some action in.
Yeah,
I mean, it does, because we do still get those games like Invisible Incorporated.
Or Sticks, right?
Sticks.
They don't.
Yeah.
Very
Oh,
good.
I
Very
forgot
good
about that.
suggestion. Go ahead, Silver.
They just don't tend to like to acquire all that much attention or popularity in that sense. They remain fairly isolated and niche. So what you could do to sort of expand that popularity, I don't know. Like, I mean, you would have to like make maybe a huge AAA sort of thing with a significant marketing budget to sort of raise awareness and attention to it. But that would be a huge gamble, because
that's a lot of money. Yeah,
like it's a small audience you're already catering to.
Yeah,
plus
when
I
you
think
niche, at some point you're like, there's 2 people who are going to want to play this.
Plus,
go
I
ahead,
think these
Absolutely.
days people always look for the game to have choices on how to approach things.
You actually
and
get
it's all-
people mad when they're like, I can't go loud. Like Thief, you could a little bit, but dude, when you'd face off against a guy, it was more along the lines of that you've made the wrong choice, motherfucker. Like
yeah.
I would say
I mean,
Sticks is
classic-
pretty close.
yeah.
I
Classic
remember-
Hitman the same too. Classic Hitman.
Classic
is not
Hitman,
built-
yeah.
it is
not
not.
built for any
Yeah.
sort of engagement.
They
Like,
give
it's
you the
not.
guns, but it felt like shit too, right? You'd be like, this is not right. I'm not doing what I'm supposed to.
We
do.
Like, I
are-
remember
we
when
are-
it was a selling point, like when Far Cry 2 was coming out, where it's like, oh, you could approach combat however you like.
Yeah.
And from then on, it was just all the games started doing that.
Yeah.
we
So
are, we are actually, if you really like old school Thief, we are actually getting a game this year that you should be
Yes.
really excited for, called Gloomwood, which is an indie game.
It's really exciting.
Sort of Victorian sort of aesthetic to it. That's very sort of inspired by Thief and looks really, really, really good. Looks very, very promising. Should be coming this year. Was set to release last year, but got pushed a bit.
And
A
their
lot of
track
games
record,
are.
their track record was pretty good too. They had those other games that were inspired by Doom and Wolfenstein and stuff like that.
hey, Reg. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Absy.
No, just like Dusk, to name one, if you guys have played Dusk.
I haven't got to play that one yet. Reg, this person, Narnak69, says that Elden Scrolls Online does let you go full stealth thief for most content. Have you? Do you feel that that's? I mean, I'm not saying that he's wrong. I'm asking you because you played it the most.
Yeah, I wouldn't know.
Do you think that that's possible, or do you think it'd be really hard, like almost gaming the game?
I don't know how it really
Would even
be.
work? Okay. And then I wanted to ask you about your games of the week, free games.
Right.
I want to make sure we don't forget those.
Okay. So then, free for everyone, actually free, is Epic Game Store Chris Tales. And that's it. Now to subscription. On PC Game Pass, we have Dragon Ball Fighter Z and Galactic Civilization 3.
Nice.
And coming
Whoa!
on
Sorry.
Monday is Alice Madness Returns. Xbox Game Pass, Super Mega Baseball 3. And coming, yeah, that's too late. Okay, no, I'm gonna read that at another time. PS Plus games for March are Ghost Runner for the PS5, Ghost of Tsushima Legends, Team Sonic Racing, Ark Survival Evolved, and GTA Online. And for Twitch Prime Gaming, it's Crypto Against All Odds, Look Inside, Madden NFL 22, Pester Quest, SteamWorld Quest, Hand of Gilgamesh, The Stillness of the Wind, and Surviving Mars. And Xbox games with gold, we have The Flame and the Flood and Sacred 2 Fallen Angel. And that's the end of the list.
Sacred 2's better than Sacred 3. I don't know if that's how you rate a game, but Sacred 3 is fucking digital herpes. So if you guys want to play a game that won't give you disease, play Sacred 2. I mean, it's fun. It's not Lost Ark. Lost Ark sort of made all those games that you pay anything for sort of hard to rate against. But I want to bring up two. Super Mega Baseball. I'm sure that a lot of people don't play that, but I'm actually a huge fan. And then Fighter Z. Fighter Z is a spectacular fighting game. I loved Fighter Z. I thought that was really enjoyable. And then Galactic Civ 3, you said, right?
Yep.
God, I loved building ships in that game. It was cool. Any from you guys that were interesting on those lists that you might check out?
There was one mentioned in the beginning that I was like, oh shit. Oh yeah, Dragon Ball Fighter Z.
Yeah.
I never bought that game. I played the demo and I really enjoyed the combat. So might dip into that. I have a fight stick, so.
Oh, you do, don't you? You ended up getting a fight stick. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha. Right there, covered in dust, like mine.
I got it for Guilty Gear
like
Strive.
my racing wheel in the attic.
Dude,
Yeah,
my
exactly.
racing wheel that's under the table. It's like, you
Yeah.
really using that? If it's under the table, like covered in shit?
Dude, it broke once during warranty. I had it exchanged and then I haven't used it since.
Oh.
Like I got back the replacement and off it went.
Yeah, I think with free games, I still believe firmly that they're probably holding off right now because there's just too many big games. Like, there, if I was a company doing a game on Game Pass, I wouldn't want to release it right now. It's just, this is ridiculous. I mean,
Super Mega Baseball though,
I love
that's it's a very fun game. Like mechanically, they're pretty sound games, especially for the longest time you weren't getting any sort of licensed baseball game any place with PlayStation. But
that's how I made friends with Freddie Prinze Jr., the actor. So I couldn't stop talking about it and found out he loved it. And then we both liked Mortal Kombat or Injustice. He was a huge Injustice fan and started talking about it. But Super Mega Baseball is really good. If you for a light baseball game, it's really good.
Yeah, for sure. And then Chris Tales on the on EGS, that was interesting because I didn't get around to play it, but I thought it was cool because I think it's three different time periods at once. Like the screen is divided into three different time periods, and you're able to progress sort of based on what's happening in each time period. I don't know if you can go back and forth between them. I just remember the conceit being very cool, where it was like all of these things happening at once, and you had to sort of figure out how to traverse that. It's an RPG, right?
It is, and it's a little bit in a weird way. Not. I want to make sure nobody thinks I'm saying they're identical, but in Sifu, using age. Yeah. In the same way this uses time, where things are more powerful at some times versus some enemies, and some enemies are more powerful, I think, if I remember right, if you face them later than if you face them when they're like a younger dragon, that kind of stuff. So yeah, I definitely want to check it out. But speaking of something being more difficult, let's talk about Silver's indie game of the week, because I don't know about you, Silver, I find this game hard.
Yeah, no, it is. Like it's Ollie Ollie World. It's a 2D sort of skateboarding game. Yeah. It's fairly reminiscent, I think, of Trials.
I agree.
In a lot of ways.
Agreed.
A lot of like trial and error gameplay. You have to sort of make your way through a course and do tricks for high scores. It's just a lot of fun. I think there's a lot of like the aesthetic is really fun. Do you agree
with me, Silver, that the aesthetic looks a tiny bit like Pool Panic? For some reason, it reminds me. Do you remember Pool Panic?
Yeah, I remember.
Does it?
I didn't play much Pool Panic, but
okay.
I can't say it recalls Pool Panic to me. Okay. But it has this like cartoony sort of sweet aesthetic to it. You have a fairly deep character creator that allows you for a lot of customization for your avatar in the game. And yeah, it's just a lot of fun to skate through the courses, do tricks and whatnot. It's a fairly small game that's just a lot of fun to play, even if it is hard and does depend on like the same sort of trial and error gameplay as Trials. Though I don't think you crash as often as you do in Trials. I will say.
Did you, Silver? Did you play 1 and 2?
I did not.
I played those on Vita.
Right.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and amazing games. In terms of like the combo systems and stuff like that. So is this one? But it was pretty linear. It was more about it was more about the different jumps, the sort of obstacles in the environment, and how you sort of traverse them. Is this, when they say it's more open world? Is it like, are you literally traversing buildings and stuff like that? How is it?
No, it's still the same with courses and what. I'm not sure
Okay.
what they mean with open world, I have to say.
Okay, it's just more of a. I guess they created more of a narrative and a setting around it, as opposed to the first two were more just about the straight skating.
Right.
And the
Yeah,
combo.
this one has a lot of customization.
Yeah,
a lot
and
of goofy character
You have
looks
characters,
and-
characters interacting, talking to each other, and a bit of story. Yeah,
Is there cross play and stuff like that?
I don't know if there's crossplay, unfortunately. That would be great though.
Dude, and that one's 29. Is that 29 bucks?
Let
Do you
me just
remember? Yeah, just look it up if
look
you
it
can. I got a code for that. I got a code for that, and I was like, "Fuck you with your Dark Souls skating game."
Yeah, it's 29.
Like, I was all, dude, I can't handle another one of these. It's not that hard, but it's pretty fucking hard. It reminded me of like a 2D Tony Hawk, but the moves and stuff matter. Like there wasn't as much. You know, sometimes you'll pull off a move in Tony Hawk, and you'll be like, I would have died. Like I would have been a crater in the ground. It doesn't happen as much there. You are a crater in the ground. It's pretty tough. It's pretty tough. I think it's only 29 though. Did you look at Silver?
Yeah, it is 29 on the
Yeah. So I mean, and it looks graphically, I love it. I don't know why I thought it looked like Pool Panic. I just think
it looks really clean.
Yeah. It's easier in Pool Panic, and Pool Panic was hard. But did you ever do Pool Panics, Sovereign?
No,
dude.
No, never.
That
played
game
Pool
was
Panic.
awesome, but man, that game got rough. And then the Switch, wasn't it the Switch, Reg, that you got it and you were like, controls sucked, right?
That was the PC version, right?
No, PC I was
also-
okay. He got the Switch and it
Okay.
was
Mhm.
it was rough.
I gotta look into it because I am the dude that gets like everything on the Switch, and I don't remember Pool Panic.
So it's like you're a cue ball, a crazy ass cue ball in hundreds of worlds trying to knock all the balls into holes, but like some balls will turn into sheep and there'll be laser beams. It's just it's really almost like Ren and Stimpy as
Yes, I'm looking at it
as
now.
pool. Yeah, we even had the guy come on who did the voice because and the music because I just loved it. Worst interview we ever did, but not because of him. It's because he decided to do an interview during a soccer game in a hostel. But
Ooh,
that
wow, okay.
that was interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, great game, really good game. Yeah, when you look at free games, I think they're probably holding off. Absy brought up something. I don't understand this at all, so you're gonna have to explain it. Final Fantasy 14 graphical update. I thought
Yeah, for the first time in 10 years.
Oh, okay.
So
I
the
thought
game
I'd
came
already got
out.
one.
No, it came out. Well, other than the Realm Reborn thing where they completely remade
Maybe
the
that's
game,
what I was confusing.
back in like 2012, 2013. For the next expansion 7.0, they just announced they will be a substantial graphical update, new shaders and all that stuff. Along with, the live letter had a lot of stuff they're adding from now until then with the patches, but that is by far probably the biggest surprise because it's the first time in like 10 years because they had it running on a PS3, right? So I think it's time to up the graphics, which is pretty interesting.
So if they're doing new whatever, are they raising the spec for the PC as well?
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay.
I believe so. I don't know if it's going to be like an optional thing, but they showed like images of how characters would look after the graphical update and before, and it's substantially much better for sure. It's not as on the same level as like mainline Final Fantasy like 15, 16 games, obviously, but it's still much better.
All right. And then your updates for the week.
Yeah, aside from the Final Fantasy 14 stuff, there's the Ascent, which is funny because I was playing the Ascent last week with a friend and we were getting all kinds of co-op
Yeah,
bugs.
I saw your posts.
Yeah, and it looks like they addressed them. There's a lot of fixes. a big issue was when you would interact with an NPC together, you'd be stuck in a cutscene and you'd have to exit the game. And it looks like they fixed that, fixed a bunch of other shit. New Game Plus has been added. And yeah, it's just a bunch of fixes, which I'm grateful for, because I was literally asking for them to fix it last week. I don't know if they heard me or something.
They
but
were watching the
fixed
podcast. If you mentioned
They-
it,
Yeah.
they're like, "Oh, Absy wants it
Probably.
fixed, guys."
I really
get on
want it fixed. Yeah, because it's a great fucking
Oh,
game.
it
It's
is.
awesome. It feels so good. It looks great. The music is awesome.
And there's so much going
So-
on. Did you get a chance to see the walking the walk I did? I don't know if you did, but
I have not,
I did
no.
a walking the walk in first person mode, and there is
Oh,
shit
shit.
going on, dude. Check it out. Even just turn off
Mhm.
my annoying voice. Just watch the graphics. It's dude. There's
Yeah.
shit going on underneath, stuff you would never see. There is. It's like cyberpunk almost in the amount of stuff going on, but you
It's
never see it.
very cyberpunk though. It's like, I love how so you know, for people that don't know, you live in like a stacking kind of hierarchy, like literally a hierarchy.
Ecology.
Yeah, basically. So you start at the very lowest level, and there's a lot of like trash on the ground and
Yeah.
stuff, a lot of debris. And as you move up, you start seeing it getting better and cleaner, and you know, it's very cool, very cyberpunk. You know, low life type shit. It's pretty cool. Risk of Rain is getting a DLC coming out next week, on Tuesday, I believe, and it's the first paid DLC where we're getting 2 new characters, new areas, and new like type of game mode in the area or something, which should be interesting. One of the characters is like a sniper dude, and the other one is like a void undead thing. I don't really know, but should be cool. And yeah, I think that's it for updates right now.
I got one to add to that.
I bet you it's going to be mine.
Next week, Pathfinder DLC.
Oh, is that coming out next week?
Mhm.
Yeah. That one's a cool one. That one has like, what, you go into some fucking astral plane, future tech, fucking time travel or something.
It's called Inevitable Excess.
Yeah, that's a perfect name because it's probably 80 fucking hours. Just excess.
Yeah.
I was going to bring up State of Decay. They redid all their graphics. They
They
changed
did.
the shader. They I don't find them always better. They sort of took away the golden, dirty brown hue in some and
They made it
clarified
colorful.
and made it colorful, which some will like, some will dislike. I like State of Decay 2. I think they've done nothing but improve it. I want State of Decay 3 though, so I'm happy for those updates. But yeah, dude, there's been some really cool updates lately coming out on some of these games that have been out for a while. Like the Ascent is also PS4 or PlayStation. It's coming out on
Sea of
PlayStation.
Thieves as well. It's getting like events, like weekly events.
So I have a
running
question for
story
you.
events.
You're playing it still?
Not really, no.
Okay. Well, all right. So does anybody know,
Unfortunately.
did Johnny Depp really do the voice of Johnny Depp, Captain Sparrow?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so.
I wish he had, because I think now, sort of seeing all the weirdness that's gone on there, I wish he would get his jobs back, because I actually liked him as that character. But I saw yesterday somebody had said that they have a Captain Jack Sparrow stuff in there as well. I haven't.
Yeah,
returned
they
to it.
have Cards of the Caribbean stuff. Yeah.
Made me sick as a dog that time we played. I just,
Yeah, I
unfortunately, man. I really want to enjoy that game, and I think it offers it's obvious. Did you guys see also Hidden? No, not Hidden. What's the game, Reg? The ant game. You shrunk down. We talked about this in the Microsoft
Oh, right,
Grounded.
Submerged.
Oh, right.
There's so many
Yeah.
games with that one title. Submerged,
Yeah.
Grounded, Underneath, Hidden. But yeah, that game is 10 million. 10 million people playing that. So Microsoft's hitting it off with some of that
okay.
stuff. They're like, they sort of know their game. They sort of know what they're doing. So that's very cool to see the success on those titles, even if I, don't get a chance to play them. Let's see, looking on here. So Sovereign brought something up that I don't know, man. So let's talk about So Fallout New Vegas 2. So what do we know versus what was somebody just saying somebody said something at some point in a meeting? Do we know any more than that? Anybody?
I think you're
Oh,
muted.
Sovereign, you're muted, bro.
Apologies.
No, that's all right. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I think it was I got to check quickly, but I think it was Grubb that
He did.
mentioned that it was in very early talks at Microsoft. So we don't know what that means. We don't know who's making it. Is it BGS, or they're going to allow? Is Obsidian going to make it? or is it going to be put off onto someone else? But we don't know where in the talks it is. Maybe they're just kind of whiteboarding ideas and trying to figure out what it is. But the talk is that, there's interest in revisiting that.
They always hinted at it with like random tweets and stuff. Now that like when Microsoft got Bethesda, and it was like, oh my god, Bethesda Obsidian, maybe we'll get a new Vegas too.
Mhm.
And then they'd like kind of reply to the tweets or show some kind of weird interest or something. But
I feel like
Yeah.
Vegas 2 is the fucking Batman Origins of the Fallout games, where because it was somebody else, you're never gonna see them work on it. Like Batman Origins, did you guys see they did the remasters? They pretended
And
Origins didn't exist.
Didn't exist. Yeah.
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 And so I would love to see Fallout Vegas 2. Some people said the story doesn't seem like it would be able to go, like there wouldn't be a huge reason to return. I think fans alone would be the reason to return. But I could also see them doing it on Fallout 76 too, in some way, like just doing it that way.
Oh.
But
I also like
talking
even
about that, by the way. Did
Talking
you
about
see
what?
that the Bethesda launcher is shutting down?
I
and everything's
did.
moving to
They're
Yeah.
Steam?
going to Steam. Yeah,
Mhm.
the Bethesda launcher. So I have a question about that, Reg. Is that all games?
Well, everything that's on the Bethesda launcher so far. I don't know what that. All
So would
was,
that
Rage
remove
2 and
mods?
stuff like that?
Because I thought they sold mods through their launcher.
Mm,
You know what I mean? Because I thought they still had their
had the
creator club.
creative kit stuff. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, but was that via the launcher or via
I
the
thought it
in-game
was.
stuff again?
I could be wrong. I thought it was. I don't
So
return.
I
What do you think,
don't know.
Sovereign? Are you interested in a Fallout?
Oh,
New Vegas?
definitely. I think Vegas, even though it was made by a different team, I think in a lot of ways it's regarded as probably the best one of that ilk, just because of the storytelling.
Yeah.
Obsidian storytelling chops.
The choices, yeah.
Yeah, the choices are kind of super unique. So yeah, I'd love to see it. And they're doing their own thing. Obviously, they got Outer Worlds coming. They have Avowed coming.
Avowed.
Yeah.
You could also give it to an exile, like the who had
in Exile
Fallout to begin with.
Absolutely right. So they those were the originators. So yeah, you have a lot of places you can pivot to make this game.
Yeah, they have all the people that worked on
Dude, it's
every
nuts.
Fallout game in one.
in
Yeah,
some
it's
way, shape, or
crazy.
form. There, yeah.
We even
Right,
joked
right.
about it, saying like there was one time I really felt bad because we have had Fargo on the podcast, and one time Fargo got tweeted saying, "Hey man, Fallout reminds me a lot of Wasteland," and he's like,
It is wasteland.
"He's like, geez, this is I'm old if nobody
Really?
knows." Yeah, it's like surprise. But here's the thing: they've got everybody, and if I was running Microsoft, which I'm not, just if anybody wonders, but if I was, I would fucking have got them together right away, and I would say,
Mhm.
because Microsoft, I do have extended family who work in other parts of Microsoft, and they've definitely said Microsoft is more into like teams can work. They can bounce if they want on some things. If I was Phil Spencer, I would have got all this, and once it was solidified, I would say, In Exile, come with me. Bethesda, come with me. Obsidian, come with me. Let's sit down. Why don't we do this and just grab the people who want to work on some of these titles of Fallout, New Vegas, and say,
Hey, you never know.
let's-
Maybe they're
maybe-
already doing that.
Yeah. Well, and the team hasn't renamed Avowed, so I don't believe that they do, because that's a fucking worst name of a game ever. It might as well just be called Bleh, because that's terrible.
I mean, Forspoken is there too.
Oh,
you know
it's
what I
dude,
mean?
it's bad. Forspoken.
Yeah.
I can't remember it. We'll be talking. I'll be like Forsworn. I always call it Forsworn, and admittedly, sometimes I do it as a joke to piss people off, but I'm not with those two games. Dude, if I was Microsoft, I'd be doing some weird ass shit.
That's what I hope they do with Activision Blizzard once that goes through. I hope they
Agreed.
say they give, hey, Toys for Bob, you want to make Banjo? Do you want to do anything else? Go ahead. Raven, guys, what do you want to do? Like,
Do you feel
Yeah.
old, Sav, whenever you realize that Crash Bandicoot's now owned by Microsoft?
that is insane to me.
Dude,
When I remember seeing the
Oh,
commercials
yeah.
of the
Spyro
Bandicoot,
too.
yeah, Spyro, all that. When I remember seeing the commercials of Crash Bandicoot out in front of Nintendo sort of headquarters, yelling and screaming,
dude,
it was.
what if
it's
there's a
bonkers.
Sonic? What if they get Sega and they're like Sonic fucking and Crash in the same game? Dude, people's minds, again, it would only matter to people who remember. But you guys
Yeah.
don't realize, I saw fist fights, Sega versus Nintendo. I
What?
saw, oh, dude, yeah, my school, man, they're a bunch of loggers. They had a lot of extra energy. And they were like, dude, they're logging. And then the next day, they're like, Nintendo's better. The idea of like Crash Bandicoot being on a Microsoft, it was the same way as Final Fantasy going to PlayStation. Like, that was a big deal if you lived through those times. You're like, holy shit.
Yeah. And then you
it's-
saw 7, you were like, okay, fine.
Yeah, yeah. I'm stoked, man. I'm stoked to see. I agree. I think Obsidian, Bethesda, like, I don't know. I know that at one time there was bad blood, and then even prior to this purchase, they were like, okay, there isn't as much anymore. I think it'd be great. And obviously they're now all working under somebody who's pretty open to people just doing their thing. Yeah, I would like it. I want to read this. Crusade says, ACG, the guy who's like, I got to buy a game. Then 2 hours before a game comes out, oh no. Then a day after, I reduced my score because I lied. LOL. It's actually not what happened. Watch the video, dumbass. Moving on. Remember that Activision gave Xbox 360 Call of Duty's DLC early?
Mm-hmm.
Did they?
They did. Well, on the 360, the 360, Xbox had the marketing sort of deal with COD.
Almost like Ubisoft has
Right.
Assassin's Creed
Right.
with PlayStation. Okay,
and
gotcha.
that switched off in the PS4 generation. So yeah, there was definitely stuff that came out earlier on the Xbox, during the 360 generation. I mean, it's what happens when you have those marketing deals.
Yeah, yeah. And I think the marketing deals, we're seeing them still. I think some will go away. We'll still see them. But I think overall, what we're starting to see now is Game Pass is replacing the marketing deal.
Yeah, I mean, Game Pass, obviously, when you look at that, right, if it's true that all, COD is going to stay everywhere and in the way that it is now, then yeah, when you look at it, they're still going to try to make Game Pass the most appealing option, right?
Yeah.
You can buy it for 70 over there, or you could just pay for Game Pass and have it in there already. So yeah, I mean, that is, it replaces that second party deal. Game Pass is just, it kind of whitewashes all of that.
I think it's cool too when we see. Oh, go ahead, Abzi. Feel free.
No, I was just agreeing. Like, subscriptions is where it's at right now for Microsoft for sure. I was just agreeing. Yeah.
Do you guys believe? We're hearing Sony, Spartacus, all this kind of stuff. I mean, I've looked at Sony's releases, which are tremendous, especially their those few exclusives, and then doing some PC stuff. I've been trying to figure out how Spartacus competes. Like, truly competes. I guess we could all say that the exclusives would be competing, but I think at Game Pass, their exclusives for Microsoft are a big deal, but it's also the other games, all those other games that I mean,
it's the entire ecosystem.
Yeah, I don't know. And Sovereign, I've never got to talk to you about this. Like, do you see that that's just dumb and they'll just put it up and that'll work for them? Or do you see them trying something different? Is there some idea that you have?
I think they'll hold on to their first party, prestige games for as long as they can without putting that in Spartacus. I think they'll try to hold out on that as long as they can. Do they eventually acquiesce and do it? Who knows? I'm not sure. I know that that's not what they want to do. So for me, the way I look at Spartacus is a couple of different ways. I think we've already kind of seen the beginnings of it with the Shadow Warrior 3 deal for PlayStation Now, right?
Right.
PlayStation Now is essentially going to be absorbed into whatever Spartacus is. And so that's kind of the beginnings of it. So I think that you'll see a lot more third-party deals. I know Microsoft does a lot of it on Game Pass with smaller games, but they also, they did it with Outriders. They did it with MLB The Show, and they continue to do it with MLB The Show. So I think that's the route they're going to go in terms of making it a value proposition for people. Like, hey, we have this exclusive in our service, as opposed to having to buy it, piecemeal someplace else. So that's kind of, it's going to hold off that conversation about their first party games. And then secondly, we've been talking recently about, the Bungie deal and the fact that Bungie's games are going to continue to be everywhere, and the fact that they're making, they're investing in all of these other sort of service-based games. So I think another thing is that whatever service-based games comes out of the Sony ecosystem, they're going to be everywhere. So I think making those games live in Spartacus as part of that sort of subscription also makes a hell of a lot of sense. So I think in terms of what the Spartacus do to combat Game Pass, I think it's those two things, those service-based games and those second and third party deals that they can make to put those games day and date into the service. Their first party stuff, their big AAA prestige stuff, I don't know when that happens. I think maybe eventually it happens, but they're going to do everything in their power to hold out and get that $70 per game.
Yeah. I would agree with that. Crusade says a certain company gave you money to give high praise to a game before it's released. Could be wrong, but hey, it is what it is. You are correct. What happened was FromSoft paid me to remove the buy rating. Now, a lot of people don't realize this, but FromSoft pays a ton of money, and they really think that telling people to not get a game right away is a good plan, Crusade. You've figured it out.
Smart.
It's smart, man. I mean, smart. The best. I had somebody say that about Far Cries. They were like, "You like every Far Cry," and I'm like, "Dude, I've literally given almost every Far Cry away for a sale."
Dude,
like,
there
who
was like
fucking
so many
buys?
Dude, every single Elden Ring review I've seen was pretty much all like, "Oh my god, this game's so good," blah blah blah, and they never even mentioned stuttering. And
Except
I think
for me.
yours, I don't know how they make that.
No, I
connection.
like
know what
people
it
like
is?
that because when they snort that much coke, you know that they're
true,
when
yeah,
Charlie
that's
Sheen
true.
dies, that person will replace Charlie Sheen. What were you saying?
It's just
Yeah.
that people get so caught up in the number. And how many people
Yes.
aren't watching your entire video? How many people aren't reading an entire review? When you
A
see all the
lot.
nuance, that you see so much nuance, you can still give a game a 10. Doesn't mean it's perfect,
It doesn't mean it's perfect. And
but
that,
you can point
No,
out every single thing that's wrong with it. Right.
fun factor is why I cover a lot of times, because I'll get a game that isn't great technically, but fun factor it is, or graphically, and especially graphically, especially like when you're looking at a lot of these games, you get this kind of thing. And it is funny because especially for me, there's been multiple games where like when a patch comes out, I'll be like, okay, don't get it anymore. Or if a patch comes out, I'll be like, get it. And you'd be surprised how many people want you to be a politician. They're like, do not change your stance ever. You're not allowed to change your stance. And it's like, no, change it for the information that's out there. I mean,
Absolutely.
that's actually what's important. It's really, really weird. But I think a lot of people get caught up in, there's a little bit of jealousy for getting reviews early. A little bit. I'm not saying that person's jealous. I'm saying that that does happen. But I think another thing is they think that there is no chance of change when, to be brutally honest, there's a lot of change. And that's one of the reasons why I haven't covered some games, because I'm like, there's too much cyberpunk. You know, so a person like this will bitch, or will say, good job for covering Cyberpunk the way you did and not reviewing it. And then they'll see like Elden Ring and be like, haha, I caught you. And you'll be like, dude, at some point you have to just sort of assume it shit happens, like in some of these games. And no developer wakes up and says, I got an idea, guys. Let's patch this motherfucker before it comes out and add some stutter. That sounds like a really good plan.
Really great. But in
That
good
sounds like a
news
really good
though,
plan, man.
I
Let's do it.
just saw that they tweeted out a message where it's like, we're gonna address all these issues, blah blah blah. I didn't even know that, but yeah, they're working on it.
Yeah, I mean, it's sad. It's sad that it happened, but it's sadder still that, you know, somebody's fucking sort of weird like that. Like, I don't know what it is where people get that caught up in it, but I mean, look outside your window, guys.
I
There's
mean,
some
part
shit
of it is
going on.
trolling, and part of it is
Touch
other stuff.
grass. Touch grass.
Touch
Dude,
the grass.
Touch the grass.
can
Where
I-
did the fuck did that ever come from? Is that like from like?
have
I mean,
no
I
idea,
know what it
dude.
means, but where did it come from? Who first was like,
I always
touch
remember-
reality?
I always remember the scene from Gladiator when he's
like touching the
Maximus,
reeds?
yeah, when he's walking through like through the grain and
field
stuff
of
like
reeds.
that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's
dude.
what I think about.
Wait.
And
Elden
so many
Ring
games
is
do it,
supposed to
too.
be on Game Pass? No.
No, he said there were people saying it would be great if it was on Game Pass.
Oh, for sure, of course, but it's definitely not gonna be on Game Pass. I don't think that'd be crazy.
Dude,
Um,
it would, but there's been a lot,
You
there's
never
been a lot
know,
of
I
crazy
guess.
shit.
Yeah.
Can I-
Yeah.
just bring the conversation back for a moment to Spartacus, because it sticks in my craw a little bit. The name,
Yeah,
like, what the fuck?
You mean
Why
it's
not-
a dumb name?
yeah.
I mean, why not just call it Martin Luther King service? Like, that's
Brother.
like name it for name a gaming subscription service for a guy
That's so fucking
who led a
stupid.
slave uprising. I mean, it's
oh,
Oh, it's funny. You know, it's funny.
it's so dumb.
On our
It's
show,
true.
King made fun of. You know, King is always taking
Yeah.
the opportunity. So he is like,
Yeah.
you know, Spartacus ultimately lost, right?
Yeah,
He died.
yeah, well, of course.
His,
Yeah.
his insurrection didn't work.
Yeah. Oh man, that is true. I mean, yeah, I guess it probably could be a call.
I mean,
to that.
it's a code name.
Oh.
So I think yesterday or the day before they had I think Grubb again said that he had kind of more detailed information about it was going to be 3-tiered. I forgot
Yeah,
the pricing,
saw
but
that.
the highest tier was like $16, which is not
Yeah.
bad.
No.
But that was the one that was going to include, you know, other like third-party games, day and date, access to old games. They didn't say how. They didn't say if it was downloadable, if it was cloud-based.
Right.
Demos and stuff like that. So the $16 tier is the whatever the highest platinum tier. So I don't know what that means, but I think it's like I think it's PlayStation Plus Platinum or something, or PlayStation Platinum. It seems like that's the naming convention. We'll see when they finally ultimately reveal it. But yeah, Spartacus was kind of a funny.
Remember, Dreamcast was Doral and Black Belt.
Doral,
who's the bad guy from Virtual Fighter.
Yep,
he's the liquid metal guy. That was what was that? 3DX versus PCX or whatever. The ones they did a different type of.
It was 3DFX versus, was it Voodoo?
No, it was. They did a different kind of graphic drawing. It was popular for a while, but it fell out. Oh man, I can't remember. But anyway, it was cool to hear those two, and they were like trying to figure out just Sega Japan versus Sega America, who, what were they were going to go. Man, I can't remember. Power VR, thank you, which powered their original arcade systems. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, code names are always hilarious, man. They're always hilarious. Like, you'll find out, I didn't even think about Spartacus. Not winning's one thing, but the other stuff is.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure somebody sat back and was like, guys, Spartacus. Everybody puff pass. So like somebody who maybe worked at Nintendo for a little too long with their naming.
What was the connect on Project Natal?
It was.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah.
And with Natal, is that because isn't their president? Isn't that his name? Or am I wrong?
Who's president?
CEO of Microsoft.
Oh, I have no idea.
What is his name? The CEO.
Oh,
isn't
now?
it?
Satya
Bill
Nadella.
Gates. Not Bill Gates.
Oh, I thought it was Natal.
No,
Okay.
not Bill
Not Bill Gates. Dude, Bill Gates is gone for like 20 years.
Yeah.
Bill Gates is like a mummy they occasionally tilt up to talk. I'm not lying. Bill Gates is like 105. And he's not. But he's like in his 70s, isn't he?
He's pretty old.
Yeah.
He's pretty
Yeah.
old.
I mean, yeah, it's time to put him out to pasture.
It's
I'm
time
just
to
joking.
die. Yeah.
Let's see. I think reviews for Elden Ring are unique because it feels like many reviews were done by DS superfans. That's definitely not me. But I could see you thinking that for sure. I think a lot of people won't take a review if it's a hard game. So I can see some reviewers being like, I'll jump into that because that's their thing. I try to jump into pretty much everything. I think there's only one or two companies I won't jump into. Gaming Addict, Iron Lord support. Hit that like button. $2 super chat. What's up,
My
Addict?
brother.
Addict's just continually chomping at the bit for me to play Back 4 Blood with him, which is it's turned out to be a great game. Speaking of a game that a review will change, so come at me, is that game. I rated that not worth getting, and man, super good. We played that multiple times. Great improvements on that game. That game, Reg, me, who played that? Lord Addict, and Idiot Doom Idiot Doom Spiral. Remember when we had Idiot on the podcast? I'm like, can we call you something else, man? Like, this just feels really bad.
Yeah,
like, hey,
I
Idiot.
call him Idiot.
Hey,
Yeah, what's up,
Idiot. He told me. He's like, no, just call me Idiot. I'm like, I don't know if I can. What else do we have to cover that's really
What about
big?
you, Idiot? What are you playing, Idiot?
Everybody stop. Idiot. Go ahead. So we have New Vegas, no Call of Duty, Street Fighter 6. So I missed all of this. Street Fighter 6. What exactly was talked about?
Nothing really. So they announced a new Capcom collection that's bringing together like Darkstalkers. It's bringing it back, and I forgot what the heck else is in the collection.
Okay.
It's a bunch of Capcom fighting games coming back. So that was the first thing they talked about. And then at the end, they showed like a brief glimpse of kind of the Street Fighter 6 kind of logo. They showed Wiiu versus I guess that's the new character they talked about that was supposed to kind of be the future Street Fighter. I don't know his name.
Okay.
And that was it. And then they've gotten kind of crap for it because apparently they used some sort of stock lettering for the logo that they used in this in the trailer. So it was just something they pulled off of whatever. Like it looks very similar to some stock lettering. A logo, so they got crap for that, but that's it. And the speculation now is, I guess we're going to hear more during summertime, E3 time, quote unquote. We'll hear more about it, but I guess a lot of the talk around it is it going to be exclusive again, or are they?
Oh, right.
Is the game going to go to other platforms? Because Street Fighter 5 was exclusive to PlayStation. I think they helped in the development of it. The crazy thing is that when that deal was made for Street Fighter 5, Capcom was in a much different sort of place. They weren't doing super well. And then all of a sudden you get Resident Evil 7, you get Monster Hunter sort of reviving them.
Reviving them. Yeah.
And then now they're in a different space now. And then when you look at where PlayStation is, where, you know, they have Evo now, it would kind of make sense to make that game exclusive to PlayStation,
Right.
and really have PlayStation be the place you go to for fighting games, where I think by default, they've been that place anyway for the past decade or so, just because of Xbox's sort of lack of games in that realm, apart from Killer Instinct. So I don't know, like I think it would be weird considering what they're doing with their other, you know, sort of service-based games, because I do think Street Fighter is essentially a service-based game at this point.
Yeah.
You want as many people playing it as possible. So I don't know that limiting it to the PlayStation platform, even though you do have Evo, makes a whole lot of sense. But I don't know. The speculation is still out there. I guess we'll find out in the summer.
Abbreviated reviews, $5 super chat for some grass to touch. Thank you very much. Bringing us back to reality. I think with Street Fighter, well, remember Capcom also got in trouble for the giraffe dick on the front of Resident Evil. They stole the giraffe dick or whatever. I call it giraffe dick, but I don't know what happened. That was real though. That was copied. Like,
wasn't a girl giving a giraffe a blowjob?
Oh my God.
I don't know, but I know Reg and I've talked about how code gets stolen, and I've always been confused, and so I always like to look at that. This I didn't need to, like, I saw a couple pictures, and I'm like, dude, that's copied. Like, there's no, you don't look at it and go, they just use the same.
It's NFTs that they're using.
Yeah, that was like right-click, save as, you know, which admittedly, even on thumbnails, I've done that before. And then later, I've been like, oh shit, that might not be royalty-free or whatever the term is. But come on, it's Capcom. They should be doing their own shit, right? Let's be honest. I hope it's not, dude. So Microsoft has failed utterly in a couple places, one of them being fighting. They've really and I get it. There's probably a monetary thing I wouldn't know of, but man, I would love to see Killer Instinct come back, dude.
I mean, we just had King of Fighters come out.
Yes.
From
seems really good too.
For every game system or Microsoft?
Everything. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Everybody got it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so that's good, but I was talking more about Microsoft in particular. I would love to see them throw out Killer Instinct. I think Killer Instinct's popular. I don't know of anybody who really, I could be wrong, I haven't seen anybody complain about Killer Instinct, like say it was broken, or, I mean, there were some issues, but that happens with all fighting games, and it was certainly better than, what, didn't Street Fighter release without a fucking arcade mode or something? Didn't Street Fighter 5 release without Street Fighter? It was like, so... I agree with you. I'd forgot about Evo, and they didn't seem to do much about it. So maybe this is their plan, you know?
I think, you know, again, the past couple of years, they haven't been able to do in-person stuff. They've done online stuff and whatever. But when you talk about the competitive scene, you really need that in-person sort of face-to-face. And, you know, I don't care how good the rollback netcode is. It's not the same as being face-to-face. So once they can do that, I think we're going to see what they want to do with Evo. But I just kind of think, you know, maybe before all of this Bungie stuff, and I just feel like they've shifted when it comes to how they think about what they want to do with these games that they have that require a strong community around them. Like, it's not enough to have just a PlayStation community around it. I think, you know, you want to have as many people playing that game as possible. So I don't know.
Also, I was gonna mention something. We were talking about that. We were talking about Street Fighter, and I was gonna mention something else. Is there any Soul Calibur game being worked on?
Not that I know of. I mean, next in line would be another Tekken.
But didn't we get Tekken 7 and Street? I thought Soul Calibur was prior to 7. I thought it was.
No, Soul Calibur was after, I believe.
Was there? Oh, okay. All right. I want another Soul Calibur. I don't even love them, but I think that the more popularity we get in those fighting games that are like that, I want to see Injustice 3. Like, I'd kill to see. Dude, I think Injustice 2 is legit. So I would love to see those kind of games. Certainly, I'm not a big Mortal Kombat fan, but I would love to see more fighters. I don't know, man. Maybe they're just so worried about like cheating or something. I don't know. It just feels like we just don't get them. I didn't know about this Art of Fighting, the new one. And that's
is a new Art of Fighting,
or no, whatever one Silver said. I apologize. I apologize. Because that would have been.
It drowned in like one of the games that's drowned in all of the attention from all the releases here in February.
Yeah, that's kind of a bad time to I mean, you're gonna get the hardcore, right? The FGC people that love it and play it. But yeah, so Calibur 6 was 2018 and Tekken 7 was 2015.
Oh
No
shit, Tekken 7 came out that long ago?
It came that
Yep.
long ago, dude. I was
God
just
damn.
starting reviews then. I don't even
Yep.
remember that. Okay, gotcha. And then before we wrap this up, real quick, let's talk about Steam Deck 2. So I
Oh.
don't know what we're talking about. I just saw your post, Abzi. So can you explain?
Literally just that. They're already talking about releasing a Steam Deck 2 with just a better specs. It's
Eh,
literally
SBZ's
Literally the
asking a
gist.
question about this. He said, $5 super chat. I'm a console peasant contemplating to buy a Steam Deck. Is it worth it to get one or just build a PC? First of all, building a PC is going to do more, but he says GPUs are pricey right now. He's absolutely right about that too, right? So
I mean, if you want, I would say just stick to consoles. Like either stick to consoles or just build a PC. Like unless you need it, you want to play remote. But I mean, if you want a PC, why get a Steam Deck?
Sav, are you
Maybe a
getting
gaming
a Steam
laptop.
Deck?
Oh yeah, I have mine pre-ordered. I hopefully get it second half of the year.
Okay.
We'll see.
Well, all of us have one pre-ordered except for, well, Silver. Did you get yours pre-ordered?
I'm not getting one.
Okay, Reg and I have one. Abzi, did you pre-order yours?
No, I'm not
Okay, so
getting
two
one.
of us are getting one. Three of us are getting one, but two of us from the main podcast. Are we, like, I don't consider it to be a replacement in any way.
No,
No.
no.
It's definitely not. That's
its
the thing.
It's its
Yeah.
thing, you know.
Yeah.
It's way,
As
Like
an
if you
extension
want
comparison.
to be like a PC gamer, just I think a gaming laptop would be more.
Oh, true. True.
You know, because yeah, even then, you know, you're not going to be able to play all the games on the Steam Deck.
Yeah.
not-
Did you guys
you
see
know.
that link where you can see what games you got on Steam are working? My list is empty, which that does worry me that we're going to like see a lot of games not be running
Right.
on that. That's and of course they'll patch it up, but Valve isn't too trustworthy either, guys. Sorry. They've been trustworthy with Index, but like I just don't 100%. I mean, they are also hands off a lot of times. They're like, if your stuff doesn't work, you fix it. And a lot of companies aren't supporting their games anymore. Or this is what Microsoft,
Basically
just so everybody
anything
had with backwards.
to do
compatible.
with their store as well.
Yeah,
It's
right.
Like, the search doesn't work for you. Well, search different.
How
Their
much is
search
the
has never
Steam
worked.
Deck?
$3.99 for the cheapest, right, Reg? For the Steam Deck?
Something like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
350, 3.
Oh, so it's way cheaper than a gaming laptop.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
yeah,
it
yeah.
is cheaper, but once you start getting like
You also get
1050,
less, of
you
course.
get
I
less,
mean-
and then you do start getting a laptop that will do almost as much as those, but might be upgradable in some way. But
Mm.
I mean, it's weird. I'm getting one. I'm not getting the low end, and I would suggest
No.
Well, it's funny because I guess so Gabe was talking to I think Edge magazine, and he specifically said like it was surprising to us that the most high end version, which is 650, was the best selling one.
Yeah.
And when you think about who this appeals to, I think it makes sense.
me
Like
too.
Yeah.
when I saw the $400 SKU, I was like, interesting. If they market this across the board and well, you could have a competitor for the Switch if you market it to the right way. But I don't think they care about that. So the
No.
$400 SKU is not going to necessarily affect the Switch in any way, shape, or form. But that $650 SKU is going to appeal to the hardcore gamer
Yeah.
who wants to have an extension of their home setup. And that's what it is for me. Like I'm never home. And I understand the whole the laptop thing, right? Because I have a laptop with a 1070 in it. But then packing that up, taking it with me, being able to set it up somewhere, it still isn't as appealing as pulling out this machine where it's still huge because it's bigger than the Switch. And just being able to play those games in a way that's still superior to the Switch.
Yeah, I call it portable, but it's not. I mean, unless you're wearing
It's not
carpenter
super-
pants, that
Yeah,
motherfucker
exactly.
ain't portable. Like, you know, the
Yeah,
old carpenter pants with the big pockets.
It's definitely not for your pockets. Yeah, for sure.
It's awesome. I think also Reg and I've talked about this fucking forever, but you GPUs went down and now they're going back up. And I think one thing is somebody may look at a GPU and say, oh, but then they see 600 might be a little less even than a good
Yeah.
GPU. And they might be like, well, I'll just get this instead. I actually can see people buying under a GPU, seeing this and saying, let's I'm not going to spend the extra 200 for a better GPU. I'm just going to spend a little less, grab myself the middle ground, maybe Steam Deck,
Yeah.
and see if it works. I didn't know anything about this Steam Deck 2. I don't even know what are they doing? Abzi, do you know? I know he's helping some, but Abzi, do you know what Steam Deck 2? Why did they announce it? Are they saying it like they're switching the APU inside or something?
Dude, I have no fucking clue. Do you want? I'll pull it up again. But all I saw, like the gist of it was they just want to make a better or a more performance-wise version of it, or just like a second iteration.
So I read somewhere that I think the conversation came up because they were like, okay, what is the life of this, right? Because if you think
Right.
about, remember Steam machines were supposed to have this huge life, right? And obviously they were dead in the water, right?
It aged dog years times 4.
Yeah, exactly. So with this, they're saying, okay, our goal is to really see how far we can push the mobile tech, and a lot of it has to do with battery life for their VR headsets, right? You have, they still don't have a purely wireless headset coming from Valve, and I think that's something they really want to improve upon when you see, the Meta Quest 2 or whatever, and kind of how it's gotten this second win simply because it's simple to use, right?
Yeah.
So I think they're looking at that and trying to figure out, okay, where does our sort of next headset sort of live in the marketplace? And I think in a lot of ways, the tech that's in the Steam Deck is about trying to figure out where that goes. So it does kind of feel like we're always going to get Steam Deck 2, right? If it's popular enough and they can continue to improve the mobile technology to get more power out of it, more battery
That's the
life.
thing, right? The battery life. That's the biggest issue is you're not going to get much, like if you want to actually use it portably on a plane and stuff, you're not going to, 2-3 hours max, I think.
And you're done.
And then you're done. So that's the biggest thing is for announcing the Steam Deck 2 is making it more portable and increasing that battery life and stuff like that.
Do you think more portable means a smaller screen? Because I already think the screen's a little small for me personally.
I just think when I think of that, I'm literally just thinking like battery, just being able to use it for, because that's the biggest issue, even with this the Switch,
Yeah.
I think that's like the biggest issue with the portability of it.
Reg, anything to add? Oh, go ahead. No, go for it.
No. It just feels like it's about continuing to shrink the tech in a way that gives us the most powerful portable thing that we can possibly have.
Which Switch is not doing. We can all agree.
Not even close.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that is one place where I see AMD gangbusters. They're I mean, dude, NVIDIA, Microsoft had issues with them. I don't know if that's why we're not getting a Switch 2. I think it's just because Nintendo smokes all the dope. But we're not getting a Switch 2, so might as well get a Steam Deck for a little bit more expensive.
I hope that for whatever their next thing is, they step away from Tegra and they figure something else out. Yeah. Because they haven't really done much with the Tegra chip. I mean, the one that they have in the Switch can still be upgraded, and they just, because of the Nintendo sort of overlay on it, they just don't do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Just move away from NVIDIA in that regard. I think AMD's sort of touching all those bases.
I agree. Reg, anything to add on Steam Deck 2?
I think from the little snippets I read, it seemed more like they wanted also to give off the impression that they aren't going to abandon it, because they already have multi-generational plans for it looking into the future. That's certainly one part of it. What surprises me a little bit is that they were surprised about the most expensive one selling well, because they're also selling pretty much the most expensive
VR headset,
and it's selling well.
Yeah, true. And guys, I mean, Gabe said it was painful. He came out and was like, the price that we released the Steam Deck for was painful. So maybe
for the lowest one.
For the lowest ones.
Sure,
so maybe he's looking at it going, oh shit, okay, well, VR, because he's got to look at GPU prices too and go, wait a minute, we could skim in here with another APU that's still powerful, that isn't the $1,000.
Because I mean, if you look the price difference between the lowest one and the biggest one, it's quite a bit for 500 gigabytes of storage.
Yeah.
Which costs a lot less if you bought that storage extra. And
is it true or am I wrong? Can you unplug the controller, the game pads? Are they detachable?
No.
So let's, okay. So it's not portable then, because you can't, like, the game pads will be sticking out of it. The game, like the Switch.
It's one unit, one fixed unit, yeah.
Okay. Because what I was, okay, so stick drift is another thing I'd worry about. Because anytime you merge this shit, right? Like, one thing goes bad. I don't know if you guys remember, but when the Switch first came out, there was an issue with some people where they pushed the innermost button and it would fuck up the screen too. And Switch there wasn't a lot of them, but Switch was like, we fix that, we'll put more support in it. the idea that all of this is in one unit and how easily we get stick drift on a PS4 controller, PS5 controller, Xbox, that does worry
Scary.
me. It's scary. Screens are scary. I mean, obviously they've perfected. I think screen tech is amazing now, and they'll sell screen protectors for that, I'm sure. But that is the one thing I'd worry about and then heat, because Linus does his own thing, but I did watch his video, and then Gamer Nexus has done some videos on the heat and the battery usage. Like, it seems to be top tier, but not really have any eco stuff with it. So the next gen may have those eco things. I'm sure people are going to be making third-party battery packs for that. It's going to weigh so much. Because I don't know if you guys I have one of those 10,000, like.
Yeah, same.
But I also have a 40,000, and that thing weighs like my head. It's like having my head in your pocket. Like, nobody wants that. So how do they
did for repairability, they did their own teardown video opening the whole thing up. They did also say not to do it at home. But
okay, Jesus, you had me worried, because people are going to be okay.
They said don't do it, but on the other hand, they showed how easy it is to do. So it's like, don't do it, but that's how you do it.
Okay.
And part of that was showing how easy it is to replace, for example, the sticks.
Okay, and then last question.
Module you can take out, put a new one in if it's broken, and that's it.
Oh, okay. And then last question, or 2 questions. Thunderbolt, yes, no?
I don't know.
So no external GPU shenanery that somebody could work out. And then oh shit, another extent. Oh, out HDMI, right? For all 3. Because the one that I've been using is HDMI out, but does it have HDMI out for all of them?
Well, the hardware, apart from the storage, is the same for all of them.
All right. SBZ says, yeah, that's why it worries me. Maybe I should just wait until they release the dock. Oh, a dock? I don't know if that... I think they've stated there's no dock. I mean, it's not going to increase it.
There will be a docking station released at some point.
But it won't increase it, right? It won't make it...
No, that's only to have more ports.
Dude, I mean, it's awesome. Yeah. Like, it does, it's going to be short, but the fact is you're going to be carrying that around. Then you have other companies making their portable. We've talked about those. They're expensive. They're like $1,200. But APUs from AMD, there's a reason why every console manufacturer is using them. Like, dude, they're just awesome. And Intel, who knows? What if Intel figures out a way to get a pretty good, powerful system? AMD has FSR, which... seems like it would work in pretty much anything, so we could possibly get that. Switch needs DLSS,
for sure,
which is not happening. I would kill. You may see support for external graphics card, Wild One says. They support third-party docks with graphics cards. What?
I mean, this thing is going to be modded to have.
We know that. I just meant like a like easily buy it. But if it's easy, dude, right? That'll be awesome. Like that, it's like the Quest. One of the reasons why everybody likes the Quest is not just wireless, though that's huge. It's that you can go on Amazon. Sav, I have so many fucking batteries and headset and packs already. I've got these little batteries you plug in, gives you an extra 2. It's ridiculous because it's popular, easily moddable, and easy from a person who wants to go to Amazon and buy their spouse an extra battery or something. So that's exciting, man. It's going to be, they revealed the dock a few hours ago. Oh, did they? Milladej Reg says that they actually just revealed a dock a couple hours ago.
I see it on the website. Yeah.
What's it look like? Does it look like a plug or a dock?
Weird insofar as the Steam Deck only has one USB port and it's on the top. So the dock is like it's sitting in there, and then there's a cable to connect it to the top.
Wow.
Anyway,
it looks like the Switch dock.
That's exactly what I was thinking in my head. That's what it was going to turn out to be. But anyway, yeah, guys, gals, whatever game you're playing, I hope you guys are enjoying it. I mean, there's so much cool stuff coming out. It's unfortunate GPUs are so expensive. Blame the NFTs and the Bitcoin miners in China for holding on to the rare earth metals, whatever. But it's awesome, man. There's so many. I mean, now all we need is a PS5 to come out that doesn't look like a George Foreman grill fucked up some
Or
kind of
fucking router. Goddamn.
mausoleum. Dude, it looks like a crown, like the Eye of
It's grown
Sauron
on
tower.
me, man. It's grown on me. I don't know
No,
why, but it
no,
has. It just
no.
has. I don't know.
Do you have it sideways or do you have it?
No, I have it standing up, and I don't have. You know what it is? I always call it. I don't have the herniated version. I don't have the one with the disc drive.
Oh, okay.
I have the digital one, so it's sleek. It looks
It's
very
sleek.
sleek.
Mine is
You know what
not.
it looks like? It looks like the front rim of the hat of the Bloodborne protagonist, like the
Oh,
main
does it?
sort of
Yeah.
It just goes like this.
Victorian
Tricorn
hat.
hat.
Mine, tricorn hat. Mine looks like Brock Lesnar when he's not working out and he's got HGH gut. Like it's like even my wife, dude. My wife doesn't care. She knows. I got wires everywhere. I got random shit.
Right.
She saw that thing and was like, "That's fucking nasty." Like out loud. I have routers in the corner, and it's just. I did cover it with a sticker, you know, like an ACG sticker, and she's like, "It's still really nasty." It's huge too. It's fucking huge.
So I do have the disc version, and last time I turned it on, like I felt the vibrations of the disc.
Oh man.
Like a
was
V8 rolling over in a
Is
cold
that,
morning.
No, that can't be. It can't be the vibration from the console. That's like the other side of the room.
That's
Like, it's
awesome,
not
man.
even close. It's
That's
on another
awesome.
Table.
That's awesome. Do we have anything to add before we wrap this one up?
Yeah.
Go.
Steam Next Festival still going. Will end at the end of this weekend. It is sort of a virtual video game conference for indie developers where they get to show off their games. You can download a
Nice.
lot of free demos for upcoming indie games on Steam. Go take a look. There are a lot of really, really interesting, fun, goofy experiences that you can try out and see if these are games that take your fancy and when wishlist them for when they release eventually.
Do they have timelines for when they release, or is this like new early access? We're like,
So I mean, it's everything. Some of them will launch in early access. Some of them will have full releases.
Okay. Yeah, check that out. Also, check out DICE Awards. We didn't cover that, but I guess that happened last night, and unfortunately, we got talking about random shit and didn't. Sovereign, man, thank you.
No, thank you guys for having me.
This has
man.
No,
been.
thank you
You're
for being
invited
here. It's been a
pleasure.
anytime. It's awesome to talk nostalgia with somebody who actually remember. I'll say something, and everybody's like, "Yeah, all right, whatever."
Yeah,
And
I'm an old bastard.
Not only that, but you like some of the games or systems I like, and like a lot of people are SNES kids, which is fine, but not a lot are Sega Master System kids. So it's been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah.
Great
Those
Babe
guys
says-
are awesome.
and not a lot of us are both either. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
Great Ape says $5 super chat. Can we get a shout out for the best ACG podcast member ever, Ming, the dog who refused to ever shut up? Yeah, that brought me down. Not your fault, Great
Yeah.
Ape. Sorry, it didn't bring me down because of that. But yeah, I miss that dog.
Oh,
Shut up,
okay.
Ming.
Yeah.
I used to, man, every time dude.
Aw.
It's yeah, man. Like that shit hits me. It's weird because a lot of dogs will pass and I'll be like, all right, but Ming was the loud child, and you always hear about parents saying the loud child gets the attention. And when it gets quiet, I'll be like, oh, he's not here to yell at me. Shut up, dog.
Sad.
I need a shirt that just says, people were wanting to buy a shirt that just says shut up, dog, because I did yell at every podcast, that's for sure.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, thank you very much for coming on, dude. You're invited anytime. Like all you
Thank
guys
you,
are.
guys.
We're gonna get King on as well, and get like it's just been an absolute pleasure having you on. You guys have a phenomenal audience and a phenomenal podcast on Sundays. So why don't you pimp
thank
that a
you,
little
man.
bit?
Yeah, man. You can definitely catch me on the Iron Lords podcast on the Lord's Day, Sundays, 1 p.m. Eastern time. We go to 11 a.m. Eastern time during football season. So you know, so we're not overlapping too much with football. But we're at 1 p.m. right now. Yeah, that, you know, just come check us out. Like you said before, Karak, there's a lot of overlap between our audiences. And we love it. We love it. Coming on this show has been fantastic because you guys have a variety of interests and tastes that you just don't see on other shows. So you guys talking about like the stuff that's going on Steam Fest, the stuff that, you know, updates to games and stuff like that. And just the new free games. So something that a lot of podcasts don't do. But when you talk about all of those little aspects and you're not only focusing on like the big AAA stuff, it's awesome because, you know, for me, I think as I've gotten older, my tastes in games have become more eclectic. I love all the big AAA stuff and I love to be in that conversation, but I love finding, you know, a hidden gem that costs $2 or whatever on some kind of random shop. So You guys touch upon all of that. I love it. So thank you so much for having me. I really, really appreciate it, man.
Yeah, it's awesome. And by the way, people, if you think we go long,
Oh yeah,
dude, that's the first time where I have the ecstasy from going to the bathroom afterwards, because I was on that podcast and it just kept going. And I love long I'm like, let's do this. But that was a long podcast. And then you guys had a super long one again, right? I think one of the longest podcasts after it. So be prepared, people. Have a piss tank or a porta potty nearby, because this shit's crazy.
Yeah,
and
we go long.
Yeah, it's awesome though. Anyway, thank you everybody for showing up.
Yeah.
Thanks for the super chats.
Real quick.
Oh,
real
no,
quick,
go for
you
it.
guys, on the Steam Fest. There's one particular game in Steam Fest that the Lords have been playing in VR. It's called Demio.
Oh, dude, the
And
game's good.
Yeah.
It's amazing, and they're making just a regular 2D version of it. It is equally amazing, and I would just say to keep your ears peeled to the Iron Lords podcast very, very, very soon. And that's it, if you want to hear more about that particular game.
Yeah, you guys are big fans of it. Like I remember Addict, and then Cognito was talking about it, and then all of a sudden, there's some stuff coming up, and it's cool because that started VR, and it's sort of like a board game D&D in VR, but
it is like if you're playing D&D in your basement, but you're kind of there. You know what I mean?
And the idea of a pancake version helps that, because VR is starting, but it's not quite there. So a pancake version, I think, helps everybody involved, helps them get money, and it also helps people look at that industry, which is my favorite industry outside of video games, which is D&D, maybe martial arts, but D&D is so high, and you guys, dude, like, it's like, could not shut up about it. Even so that was 3 or 4 weeks, no, maybe even longer than that, when I was last on. I think you missed that one. They would not shut up about it. Like, it brings people together to play D&D remotely, but you think you're next to the person because it's VR. Like, there's something a bit magical about that.
Yeah, definitely is.
So thank you, everybody. I hope you guys all have an absolute time. Good time. Sorry. Abzi, do you have any? Yeah, just have a time. Do you have anything to pass on before we move?
No, I just can't wait to take a shit after this. Honestly,
Wow.
it's gonna be
TMI.
awesome.
TMI. It's gonna be awesome. He's like, I'm stoked. I got my Steam Deck. I'm gonna. What about you, Reg? Are you streaming today in the chat, Reg? Or are you? Maybe
a little bit of Lost Ark, probably again.
All right.
I mean,
and then Silver, are you doing anything?
I was planning to maybe stream some Warhammer 3, but bugs and stuff kind of got in the way of that. But I'm hoping maybe they'll patch that out. Then we'll see.
Okay, and then also Johnny does a stream on Saturdays at my time. It's like I think it's like 10:30 a.m. Maybe it's even earlier than that. Might be
2 p.m. UTC, I think.
2 p.m. So it's like 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So you guys should check him out. It's absolutely awesome time. He's always streaming games. That's it for us. Thank you, everybody. Peace out and enjoy the rest of your